So, it's been a while. Yo, how's it going, everyone? It is B-RAD the man. Now, I know it's been a very long time since my last upload. I've just been busy with work and life and other things, but I have a good video for you today. So, years ago, I wanted to create a March Madness style type of tournament for every single Zombies map in COD Zombies history, and I did have that until BO6 came out. But up to that point, I, along with a few other YouTubers like Jolts, Tim Hansen, and Greg FPS, ranked every single map and compiled them into a ranking order. Then, I took that ranking and put them in a giant bracket, creating the March Madness of Zombies. Then, I had three other YouTubers, Stanley557, White Cliff Games, and Shreventon, go through every single matchup and determine which map was the definitive best map of all time. This is part one of a three-part series of this discussion, and this part is just only the first round. But the discussion was a lot of fun, and the results were truly surprising. Now, I know this should have been out a long time ago, because I've been sitting on this video for over a year now, holy fuck. But, I do have part one complete, and parts 2 and 3 should be out hopefully soon. But before we hop into it, if you could, drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and be sure to check out the guys' channels too. Sub to them if you haven't yet. And also, I want to give a huge shout out to Better Than Starlight. They edited this entire video and did an amazing job. So please go check out their channel. All of their links will be in the description. And if you want to see the bracket for yourself, that will be linked in the description as well. Just be sure when you go to that, you click on the 1 through 16 button near the top to properly rank them. And if you want to see me do another part with the BO6 maps, please comment down below if you'd like to see that. Now with all that said, I will let B-RAD from the past take it from here. Peace! The only Dead Ops Arcade one I included was Dead Ops Arcade 3.
Thank God. Okay.
So
yeah, I think if any Dead Ops is gonna make it, they're basically just better than the last each time.
Yeah,
exactly. So here, so what I'm sending you guys in the chat right now. So this is how we had our 1 seed all the way to the 14 seed. Like I said, this was a committee group decision essentially.
Oh wow, I'm surprised Voyage made it as far as it did with that committee.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
I thought the same with Blood.
And
so
yeah, Blood's right next to it. Wow.
Yeah. So that was the list that we had or whatever, and then I took everything and I tried to find multiple different sites and this and that to like try and come up with these all their spots or whatever. And eventually, after finding a bracket style tier list or whatever, I was able to find this.
Okay. Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, so it's got everything set up and everything. Now, unfortunately, the way that it had to work in order to make the 56 maps work, the top 2 teams in each bracket got a first round bye.
Okay, I mean that makes sense. So
That's right.
Yeah, I see you picked some pretty like reasonable ones like DE Origins. Like those aren't losing their first rounds.
Exactly.
Ancient Evil, Shadows. Yeah, like I'm not seeing Shadows really lose to a whole lot. So besides another like seed 1 map.
Exactly. So my idea for this was to go through all these matchups, and I figured if you want to have a discussion, to be like, oh, I think this one could really move on or whatever. If you want to have that discussion, you can. Otherwise, you can. If you think it's basically unanimous, you can just be like, no, this one moves on. Move it on to the next round. So
It's actually really cool.
yeah. So I just kind of figured this would be a fun little idea to just kind of do as a little series or whatever. And I'm hoping that if maybe if this gets enough like likes and everything, or likes, and I can get enough followers, which I do have a separate account for to do like a Twitter poll and everything.
Okay.
If I can get enough people to do it, maybe I can do it as like a normal series or whatever, and then eventually when we get the maps in Black Ops 6 and I can include MWZ and blah blah blah, maybe I could update this bracket and maybe make this again. But I figured in the meantime, since I have everything already presented in front of me, I might as well take advantage of it. So
Yeah, smart. So
Yeah.
looking at the old seed like tournament that you guys did, I actually say this is a pretty like accurate view, I'd say, of how at least in my opinion, how the entire community views the entire series.
exactly.
I'd say that like what's at the bottom has pretty much good reason to exist at the bottom. Most of the top like 5 seeds all have pretty reasonable explanations for where they end up and why.
Yep.
So I'm actually surprised how like this is a really good list right here.
Yeah, I'm saying, and I told him too that we need to make this as objective as possible, because obviously if it were up to me or whatever, like Die Rise would probably be at like a 13 or something like that, or
Yeah.
and I would probably have like Blood in like a 3 or whatever. So it would just be all kinds of, I wanted everyone to acknowledge like the good and the bad and everything, and then take it from like from their perspective, but also from an outside perspective, and make it into a very fair list. And I just figured it'd make for some pretty decent matchups. And there are some in here that I think could actually be pretty viable, like some matchups, and maybe there'll be a Cinderella that ends up making it to the Final Four or something like that. So
I'm non-confrontational, but like I feel like we're all gonna be fighting Stanley every time Voyage comes up.
I kind of figured, but that's kind of the fun of this. So I figured with this too, we can make it like I said, if you want to try and make an argument for it, I'm all in for discussion and stuff. I'm not gonna be like one to like make a vote or whatever. I figure since there's 3 of you guys, we'll do majority rules to see which one advances.
That's smart, yeah.
Okay.
So I just figured this would be a fun little video, and yeah,
I'm excited.
yeah.
Yeah. And don't worry, I'm not going to try and vouch for Voyage or try and push for it, because like objectively speaking, I love the map to high hell, but I'm not going to
But I think
run
like
myself into the ground.
when
I'm
it comes
trying
up
to-
against like Derice or something,
objectively.
like when there's an argument for it, I think it's good to have like someone really vouch for it and say like what they actually like
Absolutely,
about it. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
we
yeah.
definitely want to have someone argue. Like I'm
Especially
gonna argue
objective
for some
quality.
weird
Oh, yeah.
maps here, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying that,
Well,
and
then
that's
I'm excited, so.
yeah, and that's kind of what I want to do with this. So I would say let's get into it. I'm excited to see how this turns out. So I figured with some of the ones that have been remade over and over again, like Noct and Verrucht and Shino, take them as a collective. Don't take them as like
Yeah, I was gonna say like we can include them based on like thoughts. Like for example, like Moon. If we had Moon BO1 and Moon BO3, in my opinion, those are just 2 completely different maps.
Yes.
Oh, I
Yes.
agree 100%.
But together we can include them in an argument about what I think Moon improves upon in its later iterations and how it might compare to whatever it's up against. All right. Well, I will say we can start off with Dreisendrach versus Nothing. I think obviously Nothing. When I think of the objective qualities of Nothing, I think of the fun that can be had when, and there's all these different ideas that, and the Easter egg is really good. So I think Nothing might actually have a shot against Dreisendrach. What do you guys think of DE though?
It's okay. I played it once or twice.
yeah, it's kind of cool. Dreisendrach, with everything set up, got a first round bye. Let's see who it goes up against. We got Descent from AW versus Shino Numa.
All the Shinonumas. Wow.
All of the Shino Numas.
I think
This is
Shinonuma
topic.
is the perfectly designed map. I haven't played a ton of Descent personally, but I think even still, like arguing from a position of ignorance, I would argue for Shinonuma because I think it's so symmetrical, it's perfect. Like I love the way it's designed.
So for me, if I had to vote between these 2 maps, I think if I was ignoring basic AW gameplay, which is hectic, chaotic, and a complete mess, I might be inclined to say Descent. I think Descent has an interesting map design. It's got a really cool location to it. It's got a unique wonder weapon and a unique special weapon that I'd say it's more iconic than the wonder weapon, the blunderbuss.
The blunderbuss.
It has the first boss fight in COD Zombies, at least. Ignoring what it does is interesting, but that doesn't make it a good map per se. I think it's way too close quarters in certain areas. The Easter egg is beyond insane for a standard playthrough of any map, and it's not fun half the time. I might have to go with Shinonuma, despite Shinonuma being probably one of my least played maps in the whole series. I would have to go Shinonuma just because it's objectively a better baseline quality than Descent.
Right,
Yeah,
Shreed?
I definitely agree with Shino Numa. I think Descent, like Stanley said, it is a really cool location. I like the kind of the verticality that it has, the pre-die rise verticality. But Shino Numa is just a classic. Like that's where we were introduced to like the classic crew.
The
It's just
Wunderwaffe.
the Wonderwaffe, the aesthetic is just perfect, like the creepy swamp. And like Wycliffe said, like the layout is really good where you've got the spawn and then the branching out locations where you can buy perks and such. So I'd definitely go with Shino Numa as well.
Interesting. All right, so we got a full sweep for Shino Numa over Descent. Sorry, Descent. I really thought you had a good shot there, but let's say apparently the blunderbuss was not enough to save you. So, okay. So next up, we've got Shangri-La versus Transit. I think this is gonna be a really fun matchup.
Nah, as much as I don't like Shangri-La, I'm picking Shangri-La anything over Transit any day. I despise Transit, and I think a lot of the objective qualities that Transit brings to the table have just as many downsides to them. Whereas I feel like Shangri-La is designed with difficulty in mind, it's designed with a very interesting linear process in mind. It's designed to allow you to use a lot of the risk versus reward mechanics that Zelensky really embraced and use them to your advantage. You have traps, you have the napalm zombie, you have the damage amounts that are inflicted upon you by the baby gun, you have a cooperative Easter egg. It's a difficult map through and through, but it's difficulty in the right way, whereas Transit is everything that would make zombies arduous. You've got stuff that jumps in your head, lava that burns you, a bus that takes well over a few minutes to go around the whole map to get back to you. You have traps that can kill you. You have an Easter egg that's non-intuitive and requires teamwork in the loosest sense. So absolutely Shangri-La.
Yeah, not only that, but there's also 2 Easter eggs, one of which making you turn the power off and stripping yourself of all perks, which is borderline like torture.
Masochistic, especially with how big the map is.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think as shitty as Transit is, playing it with 4 people is honestly a blast in my opinion. But it still doesn't make up for how terrible the map is. And I mean, like, Shangri-La is one of the most unique locations, I think, for maps. It has one of the most unique wonder weapons. Like, we haven't really got anything as, like, I guess, like, game system focused as, like, the baby gun. Because it doesn't just kill the zombies, it turns them into little babies that you then need to, like, run over. Which I think is one of the coolest wonder weapons in general. And, like, the Easter egg being as difficult as it is, especially for the time, was really cool, because like if you try and do that in a public lobby, like good luck. Like that's one that really requires like teamwork.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of like the cornerstones of zombies Easter eggs is teamwork. So I'm definitely gonna go Shangri-La as well.
Yeah, I think Stanley said my thoughts exactly. These are both maps I didn't like on release, but going back, Shangri-La implemented difficulty and challenge and everything in a good way, not necessarily fun all the time, but in a way that actually engaged the player. Transit just implemented all of its systems in an annoying way. I get what they were trying to go for, but they've done it better since then. Shangri-La for sure.
Interesting. All right, so Shangri-La clean sweep. Sorry, Transit. Honestly, I thought there would have been more arguments for Transit, but your guys' remarks on that make all the sense in the world to me. So I'm all on board for that. All right, next.
B-RAD, what do you think actually between Shangri-La and Transit?
Oh, Shangri-La 100%. I do not like Transit.
Full clean sweep.
I would even say that in terms of Transit itself, like, I know people say, oh, it's fun with friends and stuff. I just legitimately cannot see that argument. I absolutely despise Transit. It's like
it's not even necessarily like an argument. It's just like the only redeeming quality is that it is pretty fun to play with.
Which if you ask me,
still not nearly enough.
I think it's fun in the most chaotic sense, but that's not really like, if I were to compare it to fun that I have on any other map. Transit is a so bad it's good experience at times with friends. But when you break it down piece by piece and you take a microscope to it, none of its systems really work. Yeah, they're terrible.
Yeah, plus the part grabbing system and not having a shitty ass wonder weapon. Like,
Oh my
I just-
gosh.
It's
Yeah.
coming
Then,
back.
there's pack
coming
It's
punch.
coming back. It's
Yeah,
coming
oh yeah,
back.
it's coming back.
Redemption arc for the jet gun.
I was just saying that's the worst part of it too. If there was actually a good pack punch system, like where it didn't require you to have to get like a PhD in like like technology design like to make it work, I'd be okay
gotta
with
pray.
it. But the pack a punch system is just absolutely just god awful. So yeah, I'm Shangri-La all the way on that. Next one we got the Giant versus Attack of the Radioactive Thing.
The giant solos. No competition.
Okay, so as someone who has played Attack the Reactive Thing, I've gone back and forth on this map. The Giant does 100% solo. But I think objectively, I think it's interesting to bring up the qualities that do make Attack good. I think Attack has a really unique gameplay loop. Mainly, I think that it has a very fun and addicting cycle to it. A big part of Attack is building traps, repairing the town. It actually engages you with the world of Sonova Beach, whereas Transit, I think, does in a different way. And Attack evolves on that, almost pulling from Jimmy Zielinski in the way that they want players to come up with creative solutions to kill the undead. I think a lot of the solutions all end up doing the exact same thing, which is just killing them, but it does it in a unique way. It takes advantage of the setting. You have a hypnotic trap. You have a propane tank that you can explode on the zombies. You have a X-ray device, which basically melts them into bones. You have the Krogs. You have all of the reused assets from the cryptids. You have Krogzilla himself, which I think is a really unique model that I think we haven't seen a scale of in a while that actually interacts with the whole map, whereas most bosses of that scale are just used as like boss fights. Although I think the look of Attack is probably one of the easily tied for one of the worst in the series. I think its washed out bland colors do not help it. And the Easter egg is one of the worst. It's annoying. It's tedious. It's meant to slow down the hunt just so that YouTubers will play the map longer and that the developers can watch them fail at it, which is backwards design, if you ask me. And unlike the Giant, it's one-up and sucks.
Very much.
True.
But sorry, I think the Giant still clears it though easily.
Yeah, I actually just played the Attack Easter egg last night.
Oh wow.
Oh wow, I'm so
And
sorry.
it's like it. I could forgive the chemistry step, and like the picking up the zombie parts isn't all that bad. But the goo and the laser step at the end, like if you don't have
where you have to coordinate with your team.
yeah, you have to coordinate with your team, and if you don't have like double papped Kendalls for the speed boost, and if you don't have like racing stripes, like it is tough. Not only is it tough to run and dodge the lasers, but to also dodge like the explosives that he shoots.
Because then he fires
like,
out the exit on any stragglers, and the stragglers
yeah.
are always, if you don't have stamina up, the guy who has stamina up races ahead. So then
Yeah.
Krogzilla tries to aim for that person, which then inadvertently always kills the people without racing stripes.
And then even then, when you finally do all get there after like 80 tries, you gotta all put in the bomb code too.
Yep.
And yeah, it is just like it's torture. Like
The worst
it
part is like
it
only
is
one
torture.
person can test out that entire number mechanic earlier in the egg too. So the
Yeah,
other three
for the
players are just seeing
zombie-
it for the first
zombie
time.
buddy. It's
So
it is
asinine.
very rough. It is
Yeah.
very rough. So yeah, definitely the Giant.
The Giant easily, yeah.
Whitecliff.
Yeah,
Wycliffe,
I'm
do you want
gonna
to give any?
I'm gonna defer to the IW experts on this one. I have problems with the Giant, which I will talk about when I hope Shangri-La beats it. But yeah, the Giant for now, for sure.
All right. So another sweep. The Giant moves on. So we go from one of the quote unquote worst IW maps to one of the best IW maps to Zombies in Spaceland versus probably one of the
This
worst
isn't
maps
fair,
of all
This is-
time.
I know, this is literally-
I wonder what we're gonna
This
pick
is
here.
bullying.
Dude, this is like going against Usain Bolt in the Olympics. Like, what am I
Coughing
supposed to
Davy
do?
versus nuclear bomb here.
So again, this is just kind of how like the like in NCAA, this is how it's set up. Like literally, like it's an honor to make the dance, but the worst team unfortunately has to go up against the best team. And unfortunately, since the other 8 teams have a bye, it has to go up against the number 9, which
Oh,
is
poor
Zombies in
Duran
Spaceland.
Fong.
So do we
Where
even
is-
want to? Do we even
Yeah,
want to
where is
discuss?
Terra Maledicta? It's up against B-RAD. Okay, so I will say of the I am the weakest like Vanguard defender. I'm not like a strong Vanguard defender, but I will say it had good ideas, and I think Duran Fong is the better like objective-based Vanguard map.
The two.
But it's better than Terra Maledicta. I think it's better designed, but this is just a joke. Like Zombies in Spaceland, on top of getting the easiest round of all time, it's a genuinely very good map. So yeah, this is over.
I think for
Yeah.
me, I'll save my thoughts on Spaceland as we get later into the tourney. I think this one will just save for Duran Fong. Duran Fong, an objective-based map, tries a bunch of different ideas. It takes parts from Outbreak, it takes parts from Round Base, it takes parts from other game modes, it takes ideas from multiplayer game modes and reskins them for zombies. I love the aesthetic. I think they do a really good job with the Vanguard or with the IW engine in Vanguard. I think it looks beautiful. It's got a lot of really cool ideas and set pieces, but when I really break it down and I start looking at what objective fun qualities it has, it really doesn't have many. I think the gunplay in Vanguard is terrible. There's no wonder weapon. Besides, is the ray gun even on Duran
They
Fong?
added the ray gun in season 2, I believe.
Yeah, 2. So yeah, and you can only get from the box too, so that doesn't help. I think that the rarity system merge and the salvage merge is a good idea, where rarity is just based off PAP, and then there's one salvage type. The story is almost non-existent. Sorry,
Yeah.
you first, Wycliffe.
No, sorry, I was just gonna chime in. I think salvage is absolutely a great change. I do think that I don't like the rarity system. I think it's bad, but I think it's a necessary evil with how the loadout system works. Like there has to be a way for your starting weapon to be objectively worse than things you can get out of the box. And I think rarity is how they accomplish that. So again, I don't think it's a good thing, but I see why
totally
they did
fair.
it.
Yeah.
And so I think that Vanguard merging the two, like, it's a convenience change and it feels nice on the surface, but I think it still does end up breaking the balance, and it kind of has that
something I
subconscious
also-
effect.
Something I noticed later in the game too, I think is in favor of the merge system of the rarities and the PAP, is that it's easier to decipher how good a weapon is, because if you get an orange weapon in Cold War, you still have to pack a punch it, you still have to upgrade it. But in
yes.
Vanguard, an orange weapon anywhere is PAP 3 instantly. It has its strongest damage, so you know instantly that what you're getting off the wall or from the box is already kitted out to
Yes.
keep up with the undead. Especially
That's
with
true.
the new point system, which has a limited amount of points that you can only earn per round due to zombies and how you get points from them.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, but Simon Spaceland, easily. Not even a competition.
Very easy.
All right, let's say Spaceland, easy sweep. Sorry, Duran Fong, you had zero chance. So, all right. Now this one I'm actually kind of intrigued to see because I really do think this, like, as much as I don't like Die Rise, I think it might have it might actually have a decent shot. But we got the best thing in transit of Town versus Die Rise.
I'm gonna have to go with Die Rise here. I mean, don't get me wrong, I really do like Town, but I think Die Rise being like a main map with the Victus crew, like it having a full Easter egg and being like story related, it really brings a lot more than Town does. Like Town is just a good classic, small survival map. You got your perks, you got your PAP, but Die Rise, like, although it's a very controversial map, it did try a lot of new things with like verticality, like stuff like the map being split up into different towers and like being able to build the trample steam to fling yourself across and kind of like move in different ways that they might not have like intended at first. And that also relates to like this liquefier, like being able to slide and like jump across like a building and stuff like that, which I think is like also a very unique thing to Die Rise. And like I really like this liquefier. I think it's a really cool, like I said with the baby gun, like it's a very unique wonder weapon rather than just being like a straight up damage dealer.
Yeah, 100%. I think this is a function of kind of the three people that are talking right now. I think if you got some more casual players who just want to have fun with friends, Town clears easy. But I think it seems like all of us are more like looking for those interesting ideas in zombies, even if they don't fully work out. So, and that's where Die Rise shines. Like, again, yeah, like there are problems, and this is another map that I had real problems with when it came out. But I think it's doing so much that like it does hit some home runs in there. Like this liquefier, the thing you said about it being not just damage based, but actually doing something. Like it affects your movement, it affects how you can train zombies. Like 100%, I agree with everything you said, and I think that Die Rise did enough interesting things that it's way more compelling to me than just a map that is good, but it's just kind of like good, clean, casual fun. And so yeah,
Okay.
that's
So I would actually have to say Town over Die Rise.
okay.
I think
Interesting.
that
Interesting.
yeah. So I think that whenever I think of between the two maps, I think Town is the more interesting, like not more interesting of the two, but I think Town is the more enjoyable of the two to me personally. I love a map that tries new ideas. I love a map that has things to say. I like a map that is challenging to players and you can grow with it. I think Die Rise is absolutely that map. As I've gotten better at zombies, Die Rise has only gotten more fun to actually play, especially as you interlock each of its systems and mechanics. But I think that Die Rise has such a steep learning curve compared to, I think, any other map in the series that I think it's hard to recommend to many people. But if I had to
Definitely.
rate objectively which one I think is just more fun, I think Town is. I think despite the lava being a bit annoying, I think Town is a simple situation where I can just jump into it and turn off my brain. I don't have to think too much about it. Whereas I think Die Rise does have fun moments, but you have to work really hard for them. And if you fail at any point in the process of trying to get good at in a game of Die Rise, if you fail at any point in the process, the road to reclimb back up is a very steep one, unlike most other zombies maps, where you just walk around the map, you train the zombies properly, you get your perks. Whereas Die Rise is a constantly shifting battlefield that you're working against, but that doesn't mean it's a bad map. It's just not one that I personally enjoy. I would have to say Town over it, but I think between the two maps, Die Rise wins between the three of us.
It looks like the vote's going that way, but I do have a question.
Yeah.
So when you say like Die Rise has a steep learning curve and that kind of makes it difficult to recommend, do you feel the same way about something like Origins, which is again very punishing if you don't know all the
100%, yes.
systems? Okay.
Origins was a map that was the first map where, because I played zombies since I was 10 years old in 2010. Around 2013, I played Origins seriously, was when the first time I played zombies. I had to set the game to easy mode just to keep up, and I couldn't do the Easter egg. I could only build the staffs. And I spent a lot of time playing the map to get good at it. But it's hard to recommend Origins as well, despite what Origins does. But we'll get to that when we talk about Origins later.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say I like Town, but I think Die Rise is the winner out of the three of us.
I was going to say, is there anything in there that would possibly say shift any momentum there, or do we think Die Rise has majority in this?
I think Die Rise has majority.
Yeah, like I agree with everything Stanley said about Town. Like Town is an excellent map, but I would still say that I prefer Die Rise.
All right, I'd say honestly,
Yeah,
it was a close matchup, but hey, Die Rise moves on. But I will say personally, everything that Stan just said, I agree with 100%. So let's say that he made a very compelling argument, and to be fair, it doesn't take a lot for me to hate Die Rise, but. But pretty much everything that he said makes all the sense in the world to me. So I'm glad someone was able to get my thoughts out in the air. So because my brain cannot do that. So anyway, and then the final matchup that we'll do in the Ultimate side, and then we'll move on to the Primus side, just for this first round. We got Voyage of Despair versus Grossenhaus. House.
Yes! Yes! Oh my
number
God!
one defender.
Wow. Okay, so I think we can start off this conversation first with actually Grossenhaus. What do you, if any of you have played Grossenhaus, what do you think of it?
Does this include like the intro sequence that?
Yes, the prologue.
Like, the first time you play it. Yeah.
Yes, both of them.
All
I think that's like a very cool, like that's the first real like cinematic moment that I really remember in zombies. Like obviously there's cinematic moments in the gameplay, but that's the first like scripted like things are happening similar
it
to
felt like a
campaign
real
mission.
video game,
Right?
that like took itself seriously.
Yeah, I think, and Grossenhaus, like people compare it to Noct, but even above and beyond that, you can get the Easter egg to get Pack-a-Punch and things like that. Like there's a lot in that very tiny map. It's very dense. I do enjoy it a lot. Yeah.
If anything, I think this is a very similar argument to Die Rise and Town, but I think it kind of flips the other way, where I think Grossenhaus does simplicity better than the overcomplicated, very big action set piece of Voyage. But Shreeb, what do you think of Grossenhaus if you've played it?
The thing is, I've only played this like a handful of times.
Okay, well, what do you think
really,
from your handful of times?
Like it's cool. Like it's a cool little survival map. Would I pick it over Voyage of Despair? I mean, I've played Voyage of Despair like far more than I've ever played Grossenhaus. So I mean, I'm not a huge Voyage defender, but I think I would probably pick it over Grossenhaus just due to my like unfamiliarity with it and kind of
Okay.
World War II zombies in general. Because kind of when that came out, none of my friends played it or anything, so I really only played the first couple maps like solo a little bit. So I'm very not educated in World War II zombies, but
Okay.
from what I have played, it seems like an interesting little map, but I like the Easter egg to get Pack-a-Punch and all that stuff. Like I have never done that.
Okay. Wycliffe, what about you? What would you pick up between the two? And then I'll get into my long-standing thoughts on Voyage.
No, I do. I'm with you. I'm on Voyage's side in this matchup for sure. I think that the interesting thing is as weird, like as hard as Voyage is, the Easter egg is insane. I have major problems with the Easter egg, but just as a map, like it's actually probably the most casual friendly of the like mainline Black Ops 4 maps. Like the Pack-a-Punch is very easy to get. I feel like that's the main thing I'm thinking of. Like it's not an insane quest like Alpha Omega or something that you'd never figure out. Like you could solve the Voyage of Despair
just 4
Pack-a-Punch.
buttons.
It's a Derice style. You just go to the 4 corners of the map and press a button. So I think that puts it really high on my list. Like I do like a complicated map, but having it be accessible to casuals, like I think Voyage of Despair actually does that despite its reputation. So yeah, I'll let you get into it. But yes.
Yeah.
I'm Voyage of Despair.
So I might actually hold my thoughts because I know we're about to go up against Derice, but I've always been confused when people say Voyage is a complicated map, and I think it's not that Voyage is complicated. It's just the way it conveys its information and its routing to players. It's a very 3-lane map, but it's 3 lanes in a vertical sense. The opening section of Voyage, the first, I'd say 10 minutes, is you walking in a straight line to the Sentinel artifact. That's it. You walk in a straight line between 1 and 2 paths, and you always make it there. It's once that's opened up to you, the map becomes 3-laned. You have the upper deck, you have the 2 lanes you just went through, you have the boiler room, you have the cargo hold. You have all these different unique arenas and areas to travel around between. And I think the biggest issue that Voyage has is just the way it conveys the information to players. But I think that mystery is what they really wanted players to sink their teeth into. They wanted people to explore it. They wanted people to give it multiple attempts. And I think that shines through with Voyage's design. I love the Easter egg. I love the boss fight. I love the characters. I love the story and world building. I think Voyage is an amazing experience. But I don't, not to discredit Grossenhaus. Grossenhaus, I think, has some of the most simplistic, get into the action fun that Treyarch has been trying to copy for years. You have Zombie Rush, you have Cranked, you have all these different game modes Onslaught that try to accomplish the same thing as Grossenhaus. And I think Grossenhaus just does it better than any other. But Voyage is definitely my pick.
All right, so Grossenhaus, sorry, we love you, man, but Voyage of Despair, you move on to the second round. So that is it for the first round in the Ultimate side. Let's go over to the Primus side. So obviously our number 1 seed, Origins, moves on the head to the second round here. Now this is actually going to be another interesting matchup because
this is interesting.
Yeah. I'd say because I think this one could be closer than most people would think. We got Forsaken from Cold War versus Classified from Black Ops 4.
Wycliffe, I'll let you start off. Which one do you think?
I don't know if I can start it off. I feel like the easy answer in my mind is Classified. I think it does. I don't know if it loses points for being a remake, but the things it adds are actually, I feel like they fit into the map pretty well. Like I don't think it added anything that ruined the flow of 5 the way I feel. I guess we'll get to it next round actually, so I'll hold my thoughts. But I do think that Classified still is very coherent as its own map, even though it was built off the bones of another one. And Forsaken has the opposite issue where it feels very cobbled together, and you can feel the seams of it, where pieces are kind of mushed together from different areas of the game, kind of recycled. And I don't know. Someone else. I'm gonna have to think about this. Someone else.
Shreve, do you have any thoughts? If not, I'll start.
Well, I mean, I can really only defend Classified because, I like with World War II, like all my friends had quit Cold War by the time Forsaken had come out. So I really have never done the Forsaken Easter egg or anything. I've only played it once or twice. So I can't even argue for or against Forsaken. I can really only defend Classified, which obviously would be my pick. So I'll pass it to you, Stanley.
Okay, we passed this around enough, I guess. I'll start then. So I agree with a lot with what Wycliffe said. I think that personally, I think the changes that Classified makes are a lot of fun, but I think one of the biggest distinctions between 5 and Classified, if you'll like it or not, is do you like Black Ops 4's gameplay loop? Classified is that loop to a T. It is quick, it is very specialist heavy, it is shield heavy, it is close quarters actions that requires you to use your tacticals, your shield, your specialist, your pack-a-punch weapons, your abilities, everything to get out of sticky binds that you are in every 5 seconds. The map is super close quarters. The Hellhounds do not add to it, but I think it's a ton of fun because I personally love Black Ops 4's gameplay loop. If you don't like it, Classified might be one of your least favorite maps in the entire series, especially because they removed the characters, which is a big part of the personality. The story is infinitely more confusing than 5 due to where Classified fits into the timeline. It comes after Shangri-La, but before Moon, but also after Moon. It takes place at all these different convergence points in the narrative. Its previous map was Blood of the Dead. Its next map is also Alpha Omega, while also being Moon, while also taking place after Moon. If any of that makes any sense to people who know the story, that's part of the reason why a lot of people are turned off by Classified, despite I think it doing BO4's gameplay the best. I think it has a terrible Easter egg. Its Wonder Weapon was massively improved, and I think it's still a ton of fun. But then you have, on the other side of the coin, Forsaken, a map that is almost too simple in its design. It takes place in a campaign, reused location. It's supposed to be the penultimate map of Cold War. It has an Easter egg that is 12 minutes long, but also one that I think has a ton of really cool moments. You have this culmination of the entire Cold War narrative. You have all the Requiem operators talking. You've got Ravenov, you've got Kravchenko, you've got Peck, you have Zykov, you have Samantha, you have Richtofen at the end of the cutscene. You have all these different players and different narratives all merging at once. And I think it all really works super well. Personally, I got super invested in Cold War. I love the narrative between Weaver and Kravchenko, Peck's work. You have Gorev and Jaeger basically turning tail and running away after Maurer. You have the director slowly closing in on all of his plans as he basically plays both sides of the war. You have Zykov, who finally escapes and has tricked everyone into freeing himself. You have almost the end of the world, but it all takes place in a location that's essentially reused. You have really cool gameplay elements. You have reused side Easter eggs. You have the Crystal Axe. Or not reused side Easter. You have really cool side Easter eggs. You have the Crystal Axe. You have all these different objectives that you can do. You have the Burger Town Easter egg where you have to put Mr. Peaks inside of Bubby. You have a really interesting map loading section where you have the staging area with places like Moon, but it's balanced for Cold War gameplay as the rounds progress. You have the Abomination. You have all these different mounting armies of this enemy group. You have Manglers, Disciples, Tempest, Plaguehounds, Abominations. You have this whole army trying to kill you, and I think it works really well despite every enemy not cohesively working together as one unified army. You have, what was I gonna say? I had this thought. You have the entire Dark Ether section once you start the Easter egg. But I think if I had to pick between the two, I think Classified might knock it out of the park just a little bit more. But that is a lot of thoughts to convey at once. I think both maps have a lot more going on than people give them any credit for.
Yeah, I think I agree with most of that. I think circling back to me, I think I would say Classified, and I think the thing that kind of solidifies it for me is remembering that kind of staging area opening, and then you go through the teleporter and Juggernog is right there.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of signifies that this is a map that's supposed to be easy, which I don't hate. It's kind of a celebration of Cold War zombies in the same way that Revelations was a celebration of Black Ops 2 zombies. You kind of get all the fun stuff that Cold War introduced. Like you said, the story kind of comes to a head. All the characters are talking at the same time. But I feel like when making that comparison, I feel like Revelations did a much better job in my eyes. I feel like Revelations was still very engaging to me, even though it was easier. The culmination kind of came together better for me in Revelations. So I don't know if that's an unfair comparison, but yeah, that leans me towards Classified, I feel like.
Totally fair.
All right, so I think we got all of our votes in for Classified.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of nothing to basically say Classified does stuff better.
Oh, yeah. Let's say, but I will say, like, that was actually a really good matchup right there. I think that might be one of the toughest matchups that we'll have in this first round.
That
here.
was good, yeah.
That was way closer than I think most people would give it credit for.
Let's say, and honestly, personally, like, I really like Forsaken. It's probably my second favorite Cold War map because I think it was the map that personally got me more involved in the storyline, essentially. Because I wasn't a huge fan of it in Firebase. I was okay with it in Mauer, but it didn't really intrigue me. Like, it really didn't pique my interest. But then once Forsaken came out, like, storyline, oh, it was so good. But Classified, I love Classified. I pretty much have it neck and neck with 5. Like, that's how much I liked both of them. But we'll get to 5. We'll get to 5 later in the round here. So, moving on, we got Dead of the Night from BO4 versus Shino Numa Reborn. Probably the best thing to come out of Vanguard, and yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'll start with this personally. Personally, I'm not the biggest Dead of the Night lover. Dead of the Night is not one of my favorite maps. I think Dead of the Night does a lot of cool things right. I think its aesthetic is unmatched. I think its level of detail and intricacy is paralleled by some of Treyarch's best. But the characters annoy the hell out of me. The map setup process seems like a complete antithesis to what I thought normal zombie players enjoy about zombies. I'm surprised as many people swallow it when they can't deal with fighting 4 buttons on Voyage, which I think is hypocritical. I think the Easter egg is fun. It's unique, but I think it has a lot of really cool set pieces. The enemy roster is super cool. I wish there was one more monster in there to really give it the Monster Mash vibe that they wanted to go with, because they wanted to go with mummies, swamp men, werewolves, vampires, and zombies. I think having vampires and werewolves is cool. One more, in my opinion, would have sold it, but I know that also adds way too many enemies on top of Catalyst. I like the ghost that you help. I think they've done a really good job with Ghost in the series, and that they're pretty consistent between all entries. The Wonder Weapon is super cool, but it's not one of my favorites. But I have to rate it over Dead of the Night, or over Shino Numa, just because it has more going on for it. Shino Numa it's a fun gameplay loop, but at most it adds a pack-a-punch area, a nice looking map compared to other Shino Numas, and the Easter egg and narrative is a mess all over the place. But hey, Alistair Rhodes makes a cameo in there, so that counts for something.
Yeah, these both have Alistair Rhodes. True,
Yeah.
very true. Didn't even think about that.
Did not plan that out, by the way.
I can jump in here and then we'll get to Shreeb. So I have things to say about both of these maps. Starting with Shino Numa Reborn, I guess I would have to agree it's probably the best thing to come out of Vanguard, except maybe the boss fight of the Archon, which is where they explicitly said they were putting all their development time. But for me, like, when I said early on that Shino Numa is like my favorite designed map because it's so elegant and simple, like you have spawn and you go in each direction for a perk. I think that's perfect. I think Shino Numa Reborn, even though it's nice to have Pack-a-Punch, the area that it adds means that it kind of makes the map unbalanced in a way. Like, there are now doors you can open that are more valuable than others, whereas before everything was like equal value. But now I think obviously you're going to want to try and open the whatever side that is first, like the comms hut side first. And I think that being forced, I guess before you could say that you would always open the fishing hut first to get access to the flogger. That is a fair argument, but I think that for me, it really changes the map layout in a way that I don't love, even though it seems like a small change and seems like an improvement to have Pack-a-Punch. Dead of the Night, on the other hand, I have nothing but good things to say about this map. I think that it improved on the Easter eggs. I was worried after Voyage of Despair that would be the style of Easter egg they did for Black Ops 4. I feel like they toned it back 1 notch out of 10, and I feel like that's the perfect level. Voyage was like a 10 out of 10. You had to have a notepad beside you writing down all the different times on the clocks and everything. I feel like Dead of the Night was 1 step backwards. You still had things like the scratches step that were not perfect, but I think that level is kind of the peak of what I expect out of a very complicated zombies map when that's what I'm looking for. But at the same time, you also had simpler things, like you could get the Alistair's Folly with, it wasn't a long, complicated quest like the Death of Orion on 9, it was just find 4 symbols and type them in. So it has that balance, and I feel like it's another map that you can play casually. You do have to look up a guide for Pack-a-Punch. It does have that problem. You're not finding all those crystals and all those grandfather clocks yourself. But if you are an invested zombies fan and you're willing to put the time in, again, it's something I wouldn't recommend to someone who likes town. But if you are a certain kind of zombies fan, I think it's the perfect experience for you. That's it for me. Shreeb, what's up?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely agree with some of what you said about Dead of the Night. Like the aesthetic to me is like, it's really top tier. Like I like, not to bring up Shadows of Evil, but that, like, being my favorite map, I really like the aesthetic of that, and I feel like Dead of the Night kind of has a very like similar aesthetic, and like that kind of goes with the rest of Black Ops 4. Like the aesthetic on all the maps, I think, is really good. And like you said with Pack-a-Punch, like unless you already know how to get Pack-a-Punch, like there's no way you're gonna be able to find the vases and melee them to get the crystal and like know where to go when you gaze into it and all that for the tuning forks. Like that's something where you're gonna need to look it up if you don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And like the rest of the Easter egg, like you said, with like the scratch steps, and like the different symbols and stuff, like the headstones where you need to like find the headstone relating to the character that's dead or whatever. Like that's really just all like Black Ops 4 classic. The Easter eggs were made to be followed by a YouTube guide, which I think is a huge problem with Black Ops 4 overall, even though I really do like the difficulty of them on some of the maps. The characters on Dead of the Night, I really like the cast. Like the actors are great, but I think they were utilized very terribly, and that's one thing that really sucks about Dead of the Night is they had really huge potential for the cast and the celebrity cast, but I feel like it was really wasted because the characters are just so flat.
Mhm.
And then come the end of the Easter egg, you know, with Godfrey and all the crazy stuff that he does, it just kind of seems like unprompted. Even though there is like the voice in Godfrey's head and stuff, it just doesn't really seem like it's not really building up throughout the map to where it like comes at the end. And
Yeah.
I think that's a really wasted opportunity. And that kind of is the same thing with like Bruno, like where he's kind of possessed or whatever. And I think that's just an issue with the Chaos story overall, because there's just so many like plot threads that don't get fully resolved, and that makes the Chaos story suffer overall. And moving on to Shin Onuma Reborn, I actually don't mind this map. I think that, like you guys said, it is the best thing to come out of Vanguard. And I don't necessarily hate the new areas and stuff. Like I think it's cool to have like the dig site, which connects like the two areas, like the comm and the storage. But the Easter egg is just I do not like the Easter egg, and like the boss battle is really tedious in my opinion. Like having to weaken Zabala or whatever her name is to make her like
access,
able to be
yeah.
damaged. Yeah.
Like all you do is like whoever has the Wonderwaff can actually do the Easter, like can do the boss.
Mhm.
Everyone else just sits
Yeah.
there.
Nobody else can. You literally just have to wait. And that like
Yeah.
like we played like me and Josh and a couple others played that Easter egg for his video, and that was the last time I did it. And man, like it's just it's not fun. Like the boss battle is not
Yeah.
fun, and it doesn't at all feel like a reward for playing through the Easter egg. It just feels like just more of the same sludge that you just go through. And I think
Fair.
that if they, you know, spent more time on the Easter egg and the boss rather than like you said earlier, diverting it all to the Archon, which in my opinion is a great boss battle, I think they definitely could have bumped up this map a little bit more, because I think as a map it's definitely the least offensive out of Vanguard, but I'm gonna have to go with Dead of the Night for sure.
Now, quick question, Wycliffe, you said earlier, because I really liked your comment about the door imbalance and the way that Shin Onuma Reborn is designed. Would you think that could be remedied if they added a fifth door so that has its own value entirely for PAP, rather than connecting it to two previous areas, or giving the other two areas their own shared area so that has its own value now?
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder. I haven't put a ton of thought into it. That's a really good idea. I
No,
think
because you
that,
made a really good point that I never thought of before, giving like the
Yeah.
door value and like how valued they are in Reborn.
adding the fifth door for Pack-a-Punch, I feel like Perks and Pack-a-Punch are different values, so that would be tough. But I think that there is a way to kind of connect the other two areas, like you said. Like there are definitely
Yeah.
ways to solve it. So yeah, 100% agree.
So then,
There's,
I guess another option is: do you think once you open all four doors for Perks, then you can unlock Pack-a-Punch? Like it's almost like Doris, where it's like getting to the end of each facility. That then, like maybe Pack-a-Punch is in spawn. You need to open it that way. Like
Again,
in each of the huts.
I love that idea. That's
That's
perfect.
interesting.
Yeah, that might be a
Yeah.
better idea to balance it so that each door still has value, each pathway still has value,
Yeah.
but it adds something to spawn. And then your comment earlier about the scratch marks, because I know you said that that's probably easier to deal with than the voyage clocks. I think people just explain the voyage clocks improperly. but that's just me. I think that people describe it in like the least intuitive way possible, but that's just me going crazy. I think the scratch marks on Dead of the Night are atrocious. If you mess up at any point, you have to go to the next round.
My one big problem with the scratch marks is that one of like 0 is a number. I think
yes, because 0. So like you might not even know if they're there because you can't tell.
Yeah, if you just miss a spawn or if it's not there, it looks the same to you as a player. I think if there was always 3, I think it would be fine. For me, I think I'm okay with the risk reward of getting a wrong number. But yeah, the fact that there can be 0, irredeemable step. I agree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I just thought it was a really interesting comment.
No,
all right. Yeah.
right.
Anyways, Dead of the Night definitely sweeps Shino Numa Reborn for all 3 of us.
And say, wow, that was a lot of discussion, but I really like. It's very interesting to hear like how much like because I really don't like Shino Numa. Like I don't like Vanguard at all, and Shino Numa is the best thing of it, but I still think it's terrible. But it's nice to hear like a different perspective of like how like what can be done to improve Shino Numa Reborn. And honestly, I think you guys made a lot of good points. So let's say, but Dead of the Night is moving on, and now we got Mauer versus Infection. And before you guys discuss, I just want to do one quick thing for just to show how much I am or am not a fan of this map. So I actually did I actually did a tier list of like these are my my favorite maps, and this is just the Treyarch side of it because obviously I don't want to include all the other ones. Like so, this is anything developed by Treyarch or that Treyarch has touched or whatever. But if I had to rank Infection, it'd be right here, like right in between Archon and Terra Maledicta, because I hate this map so much. But
I guess I should ask, who else has played Infection in here, or is it just me and B-RAD?
I have not played Infection.
I've played it.
Okay, so Wycliffe, you said you haven't?
No, I'm out of this discussion.
Okay. So I'll bring up some points for Infection. I personally think Infection has a bit more pros than I think people give it any credit for. I think the biggest thing is the map design. The map design in Infection actually suits the exosuit, whereas I feel like in Outbreak it is completely wasted, and there's never an opportunity to actually utilize the exosuit besides maybe one room in Outbreak. Whereas with Infection, you actually get to use the exosuit a whole lot. The map is designed for you to fly around in. It has wide open spaces, and it actually makes use of the very aggressive AI to train enemies. Big issue, though, is that the map design forces you to go to the sewers a lot. The Infection rounds, the special enemy rounds, the Survivor rounds, the Goliath rounds, you're constantly being interrupted in gameplay every single second that you play. And there's just no reprieve from it. I'm not going to talk about Mauer, as we'll talk about that when we talk about that next round. Mauer infinitely wins. Infection is, by God, awful terrible, but I think it does do stuff better than Outbreak than I think people give it any credit for. I think Outbreak has a ton of problems that I don't think ever get brought up by people. Whereas Infection solves a few of them, but Infection creates 50 others. Shreep?
Yeah, like you said with the sewers, I think the sewers is just so antithetical to like the movement in Exo Zombies. Like it just feels so cramped. And like with the special zombies and like the exosuit disabling zombies and stuff, like it just seems like the sewers are not like it's the worst part like of the layout of the map. Like you've got like the different areas of the map where like you said you can jump around and like go on top of the buildings and stuff and kind of like not necessarily train the zombies, because training in Exo Zombies is really weird. Like it's not really the kind of game where you would train normally. Like you're very incentivized to be like boost jumping and stuff all the time. And so I think like the openness of Infection really like complements that, as opposed to Outbreak, like you said, where really the only rooms where you can use the exosuit properly is like the room where you get it, the like circle room, and then outside like going on the bus and stuff. So I think like if it weren't for like areas of the map being cut off, like allowing you like to actually stay in an area and like get used to it, I think that it would be a lot better. Same thing with like the Survivor rounds and like all the different special rounds. Like that just seems like you can't actually like sit down and like get into a groove. Like there's always something disrupting your playing, and it sucks. Like it's not fun.
All right, so we got Mara. I will say, because we did talk actually a few positives of Infection. I will give Infection one positive: Gator Trap. Gator Trap itself is cool.
There.
All right, All right, so next round, or next matchup, we got Buried from BO2 versus Terra Maledicta.
Ah, dude, Terra Maledicta's got so much going for it. It's got being the prequel to the Archon.
That's it.
It's
We
not
got it.
green.
We got it in the Archon.
Yeah, like when Duranfong was up, I was willing to like give it a bit of a eulogy. Terra Maledicta has no redeeming qualities.
Especially because like the map after it comes like
yeah.
it's the Archon. We'll talk about more in the Archon, but this is the one time we're gonna talk about Terra Maledicta, so I guess I'll give it a just a brief talking point. It's a map that exists. It's okay.
Just stop talking there.
It's bad.
It exists.
Yeah. It's got messy map design. It's not the most fun to run through.
Did Terra Maledicta introduce Zabala? Because she wasn't on Duranfong originally.
Yes,
yeah.
Yep.
So
It's
I think
got
that's a
the
negative.
Decimator Shield.
But the Decimator Shield, yeah, that's true. That is.
I like
there's
the
a side
Decimator
quest
Shield.
on that map.
It's just
Yeah.
a rechargeable Gorod shield that recharges every 30 seconds.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, that's all we
fine
need,
to
though.
use. That's
Fair
it. Yeah. So Barry, just move that up. We'll go to the next map.
Okay.
Whoa.
Yep. So yeah, buried there, sir. All right, so we got a Battle of IW here, and again, I don't know how like it got messed around with this, but Battle of IW, Ray versus Shaolin.
Okay. I'll
And
say
you get-
right off. I know Shreve is going to vouch for Shaolin.
I've got a lot to say about this matchup, but I'll let you.
I'll say this first. I think Rave is the easily better of the two maps just because the ninja zombies don't exist. But Rave has its own host of issues. I'd say Rave, Attack, and Shaolin, in my head, all have very unique pros and cons to each other. I think Rave outmatches Shaolin and Attack, and I think Shaolin and Attack both rate pretty equally compared to each other due to what they both bring to the table and what they both don't bring to the table. Rave, on one hand, is a really fun map. It's very well designed. It's almost another map. It's basically built off of Spaceland. You have all these unique mechanics. You have all these cool ideas. You have Rave Vision, which I still say is one of the more technically impressive things that's been done in zombies. And the bows are fun to build. They're super easy to build. They're a lot of fun. But I think the slasher really holds it back. Rave Vision is not usable past round 10, as the slasher is unkillable, which I'd say is fine thematically. Doesn't really work gameplay-wise, though. And, the map is a ton of fun. Shaolin, on the other hand, you have the chi abilities, which are really cool. The ninja zombies, which are terrible, but then you've got the katana and the nunchucks, the chi abilities, which all are supposed to counter the ninja zombie. The whole point of the gameplay loop is using these three different unique abilities and wonder weapons and running around the map in full circles and killing whatever is in your way like a kung fu star. And when that all works, it really works super well. But then round 34 hits and the nunchucks stop one-shotting, so that's not fun. The chi abilities are fun to use, but you have to go into a whole menu to use them. You can't use your other weapons, you can't use your other equipment, and you're very much locked into them until you leave it. The abilities are fun to use. You get the rat's heart throughout the Easter egg. That's cool. That kills a whole bunch of zombies, any that are near it. And I think that when the gameplay works, it works really well. Both maps have very interesting pros and cons, but Rave's Easter egg is way better than Shaolin. Shaolin's Easter egg, I'd say it's like, we like to joke around about Treyarch maps having annoying Easter eggs. Shaolin is the de facto. Look up a guide online, look up a Devil's Alphabet translated, translate some Morse code, find where all the eyeball locations are. It's a mess. It's every Treyarch Easter egg's worst aspects compounded on each other. And the racking is even cool.
Okay. That's too far. That's a little too far. Okay. I definitely agree that like the Shaolin Shuffle Easter egg is ridiculous. Like it is literally the poster child of like, you will not solve this by yourself, no matter how hard you try. Like good luck solving that by yourself. Yeah. Like between all the eye locations, the Chinese symbols that you need to shoot in order, like the Morse code, the Devil's Alphabet, like word spelling. Like it's not gonna happen. Like you gotta look up a guide, and I think that like the Easter egg is a massive hurdle to get over. But like you said with like the chi abilities, like I think that's really cool. I think like the fact that there's the gates that you open with the chi abilities that kind of open like shortcuts around the map.
That's a really cool progression system.
Every one person has to go through, go through. Like
wait, I didn't know that actually.
Through. Yes, it's not like a normal portal where you can just go in. Every time someone goes through, it'll blur the portal, and you gotta wait for like fucking 30 seconds for it to regen.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Which is absolutely ridiculous. and like I know I am like Shaolin Shuffle's greatest defender, but it's despite its flaws that I like it so much. Like I love the city aspect. Like I love the aesthetic is like one of, if not the best. Like I love the Shadows of Evil aesthetic, but like having kind of the same aesthetic but in like the 70s style with like kung fu and like the cramped like alleys and like on top of buildings that you're moving through, and like it really feels like it should have had like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like reference or some sort of connection there, because like with the Rat King, it just seems like the perfect like setup for something like that. And it's very disappointing that they, I don't know, couldn't get the rights to that or didn't even want to do that, but that would have been like a very cool cameo. And like Pam Grier is not really that cool, but I think her as like the kung fu master, like it's a cool enough role to where it's not completely boring, like Kevin Smith on Raven the Redwoods, who's in my opinion the worst cameo.
God, I hate Kevin Smith.
He doesn't do anything. He's literally does nothing.
And then he has a
nothing.
schizo meltdown and turns into the slasher.
And turns into the super slasher. Like he
Yeah.
literally adds nothing to the map.
I gotta
Like,
find
literally nothing.
Jay.
And
Ah!
that's not to say that like if I would have explained this maybe like a few months ago, I probably would have went instantly on Shaolin Shuffle. But I have been playing a lot more Rave recently, and there's a lot of stuff about Rave that I really do like. Like I think the charms is such an underrated part in Rave.
Yeah.
Like it's just such a cool like alternate perk system that I think really adds like a lot of depth and like more like robustness to like your builds and like kind of how exactly you want to play. Like the frog charm letting you run through water is like, it's so cool.
The ring charm's
like,
giving you like heal whenever you melee. Which is how like difficult
healing.
melee is in the game too.
Which I'm a huge melee fan. Like I really like stretching out the melee as much as I can in zombies. Like it just feels so fun. And like having the ring charm, having like the dedicated melee weapons, having Slappy Taffy too.
I mean,
like,
you Shaolin Shuffle, you have like the nunchucks, the cheese.
Yeah,
the
yeah, exactly.
Super cool.
And like you said earlier, with the nunchucks just coming to a screeching halt at round 34, like it really is brutal because you feel like you know a kung fu god, like you're running around just slapping the shit out of these zombies. And then next thing you know, it's like a 2-hit, a 3-hit, and like at that point it's basically worthless because if you're not instantly hitting them, then you're gonna get piled so fast. Mm-hmm. And I think, like you said in your re-review when you were talking about the chi abilities and having them like replace your tacticals or your grenades and stuff, I think that definitely could expand on it because. Really, if you're doing the Easter egg, you're probably not even going to level up the chi ability. You're just going to get the shurikens so you can do the rat, and then you don't care about it. And I think that's such a huge missed opportunity because, like, the alternate abilities and the super abilities, like spawning in a skeleton and stuff like that, like I think that's so cool. But it's just there's literally no incentive to use it. This is actually a very tough pick in my opinion because I think like the boss battle, even though I do think the Rat King is cool thematically. The boss battle is very mid. Like you do the eye step where you're shooting the symbols all around the walls and the ceiling and stuff, which is it's not that bad. And then the brain step where they're just eating the brains. And you're trying to stop the Rat King from killing the zombies, and you want to.
That step, I don't even know what the point of that step is anymore. Because like even when you destroy the staff, the zombie,
staff, he's still like the
zombies still die. So like, what's the point of doing any of that? You just
ridiculous.
train around.
You might as well just train around and
minutes.
do nothing. And then I mean the goo step, I do like the goo step. I think like having to step behind the goo and kill the zombies on them to clean up the goo is probably the most like intuitive step in that boss battle. And then, other than that, you're literally just shooting him like he's a big, meat sack. So, I think the Raven the Redwoods boss battle is infinitely better. Like running around, filling the skulls, and then getting the slasher in, like to make him vulnerable, and then shooting the symbols and stuff. Like I think that's just way more like you're focusing on the boss itself, and you're actively trying to avoid him while you fill the skulls, and then you're trying to attack him when he's vulnerable. Whereas in Shaolin, you're basically just you're waiting on the brain, you're shooting the symbols, or you're shooting the zombies. Like none of it really revolves around the Rat King itself.
Or any of
So-
the themes of the map either. Like, what does any of that have to do with like what we just did throughout the entire egg? Besides like shooting the
Like-
eyes, that's it, and killing zombies.
Yeah, and like literally just using the eye, using the heart, I guess, in the boss battle to like clear out zombies. Like it'd be better if using the heart was actually like part of the boss battle, but it's really not, other than just a grenade to clear them
Like
out.
imagine if you had to use the heart to stun him, and that's when you can shoot him for a second.
Yeah, and so as much as I really do like Shell and Shuffle, if we're talking about the better map, like full range of everything, I might have to pick Raven the Redwoods, which pains me to do, but I think like going up against Buried, I think Raven the Redwoods has a better chance, and like Easter egg wise, it is better. But
I agree.
Wycliffe, what do you think?
Any
You
thoughts?
guys
Wycliffe, which one did we convince you sounded more fun?
Oh yeah, I mean, again, for context, I played each of these maps like 5 times total. Just from what you've described to me, the picture you've painted, I think I'm gonna go with Raven the Redwoods.
Okay.
All right, a sweep of Raven the Redwoods.
That is a
Let's
fair
see.
choice.
Another valiant battle though. This bracket has had really good battles in it so far.
I agree.
Let's say, and now here comes another one. And this one, I feel like there's a growing trend of like the basic survival maps probably don't really have the best shot in the world, but let's see how this one turns out. We got Blood of the Dead from BO4 versus Nocturne and Toten on pretty much every game ever. So, go at it.
Okay. So this is actually a bit of a difficult choice. I'll let you go first, Wycliffe. Sorry.
No, you can definitely talk about your opinions first. I just wanted to set the stage because this is, I think, a conversation that comes up in every like tier list ranking video, and I just wanted to kind of, we haven't really had to have this discussion yet. Is this a map that you would go and play right now after this call, or is this, what did this do for the mode? What was the context at the time? Like, how are we ranking these maps, and what are we weighting each of those things?
That's a good point. I like to take into consideration both conversations. I think it's important to bring up a history of what does a map bring to the table. Like, if anything, Noct should technically, by all technicality, be like a D tier map.
Mhm.
But it's hard not to say that Noct isn't a C tier minimum, just based off what it brought to the series, what it did for the franchise. But if that's the case, then like, does every map get to rank at C? Like, what about Verrucht? What about Shinonuma? What about Derice? Ignoring like quality, it's like, when you compare all these maps years later, how do they stack up? Origins should, by technicality, be a permanent S tier map based on what it brought. But as the years have gone by, Origins' love has just gotten less and less favorable based on what people have thought about it. And it's gone very much down just based on having better experiences, more nuanced opinions, more time to play it, seeing as the map has grown. So I think both arguments should be taken into account when rating legacy maps, or even just maps that just don't have as much going for them compared to newer maps. It's why people are more critical of something like Classified compared to the original 5. Context is extremely important. How long the map's been out is important. When does the map come out and what features does it present? Like Liberty Falls, if that came out in 2010, would have gone insane, whereas in 2024, it might not look as insane to people. So I think that's pretty important. But I'm just going to have to say right off the bat, Blood of the Dead just brings more to the table. As much as I love Noct. Noct also has a really boring first 10 minutes where you essentially just do nothing. But I think the horror aspect of it is really well done. I think it captures a very unique atmosphere. But Blood of the Dead will move on, most likely, and we'll talk about that in comparison to 9. What about you guys, though?
Sure, you go ahead. What are you thinking here?
Well, I mean, I think Stanley said a lot of what I think as well. Like Nocturne and Toten, of course, is the first zombies map. Like it's where it all started, and obviously you got to give it a certain amount of credit for being what it is. But then, like, does every zombies map get credit? For adding perks and adding PAP and all that stuff. Like by all accounts, Nocturne and Toten is a mid map. It's a small map. It's only got, one box spot. It's got no perks. It's got no PAB. It's got really nothing. But I think there is like a certain amount of beauty in that simplicity. But I think when you put it up against Blood of the Dead, like Blood of the Dead, even though it has like a ridiculous Easter egg with some whack steps, I think that the payoff for doing Blood of the Dead, that cutscene and stuff, makes the whole Easter egg worth it. I mean, it's one of the most emotional cutscenes. One of my favorites for sure. and I think that I like the new areas that it added on Mob of the Dead. You know, I definitely don't think it's better than Mob of the Dead, but I think like with the Warden's house and the hell teleporters and stuff, and like taking you to where like new power is, like it feels like it did make the map bigger in a way that I think is not necessarily detracting from the original map. Like it's not like they blew out a bunch of the map to make it like some new area or something. So I think Blood of the Dead is a good remake. Like I think it's a really good remake, and I think a lot of people mainly hate on it for the complexity and kind of like how frustrating the Easter egg is. I think like the Magmagat was a really cool addition, and kind of how you get that with putting it in the fireplace and then having it run it across the map. Like that's a cool, like gameplay style Easter egg upgrade or wonder weapon upgrade. And so I think Blood of the Dead is it's a really cool remake, and I think it brings a lot of good things to the table, which like BO4 in general, it starts off very strong, and then as we get more into the Ether maps, it kind of drops off in the quality of the remakes. So I think Blood of the Dead is really no contest. It's better than Nocturne Totem.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like this is more of a Blood of the Dead conversation than it is a
Yeah, that's.
Really,
I wanted to let you
there's
guys
not
go
a lot
first.
you can say
yeah.
about Noct.
I wanted to let you guys go first because I was just gonna make sure that Blood of the Dead was gonna move on. I could wait to talk
Yes.
about that later. I do love Blood of the Dead. Nocturne Totem, though, I did want to like talk about it before it disappears from this competition forever. Looking back on it now, yeah, you could say the first couple rounds are slow, like it's small, but like I've been playing zombies since the mode came out, like since World at War launched, and like that experience of loading into Noct for the first time is like one of the most magical experiences I've ever had in gaming. Like it's something that I never thought was possible in a game like Call of Duty. And it's a different kind of experience than we've pretty much ever had since. The mode has kind of moved away from that very like old school fortify yourself in basically a single room or two rooms
Tower defense,
and
yeah.
like lock it down, actually try and keep all the windows boarded, like things like that. We haven't done that since. Maps have gotten too big. It would be ridiculous to expect them to do that, and that's not where the mode should have gone. But as just kind of an experience on its own, a one-time thing, like it's such that holdout style where you're hitting the box and you're desperate for that Browning MG, like that's the only thing that's going to keep you alive on the top floor. Like there's just so many experiences I have there where I feel like I haven't had on any other map. Obviously Blood of the Dead has so much more to do, and I love it. I just think that like it's not the same thing for me as Town versus Die Rise. Like obviously Die Rise we said was interesting, so it should move on, but Town was just kind of doing stuff that had already been done. Noct felt very fresh, and it kind of introduced all these mechanics, so I do think it's worth something, but you can't go back and play it now, and I think that's fair to let it lie here.
I think that was a very fitting way to give Noct its roses. So congratulations, Noct. You at least made
I
it.
agree.
You made it a battle for a little bit, but I think we all agree Blood of the Dead is moving on
Congrats, Noct.
in this one. So, all right, to finish off the the premise bracket, 9 is moving on. It got the 2 seed in this side, and now moving on to the Victus side. Mob of the Dead is moving on. It was number 1 seed, and we'll figure out who its matchup will be. It's against Verrucht versus Outbreak from Advanced Warfare.
Okay, so Verrucht versus Outbreak AW. I mean, I'd say this might come as a big shock. I actually think Verrucht's going to win this one. I think Outbreak is, by God, terrible. It is such an annoying experience that I despise. I think it does a lot of stuff wrong. I think the gameplay of it is just it's all wrong. There's something just completely wrong about it. I think it does terribly. And I despise it. Whereas Verrucht, I think, does a lot of building. It really sets up the foundation for zombies. I think the introduction of perks is super important. I will say, though, one of the most interesting things that I have to say about Verrucht is that I didn't start with World at War. The World at War maps are probably some of my least played maps in the entire series. And I don't have a whole lot to say about them. I didn't grow up with them. They've always been maps that I've simply disregarded, and I think that's a big, a bit of a failure on my part as a zombies reviewer. I've reviewed every. I can talk about every map at nauseum. The World at War maps are some of the only few that I don't really have a whole lot to say about. I think they bring. I think each map builds upon itself in a unique way, but there's not much more I can say than that. I think Varuk's just the winner here. Sometimes less is more.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Varuk built upon what Noct had previously established. You know, they added, like, perks and traps and stuff, and, like, they kept kind of, like, the horror with you being, you know, in an insane asylum, and it's a cramped map. Like, you don't really... There's not really many areas where you feel like you have, like, room to breathe. Like, you're constantly kind of running around. Like, there's zombies either in front of you or behind you. And so, like, you always kind of feel like you're on edge, which I think, like, World at War in general does, like, obviously the best. Like you could argue that World War II Zombies does horror maybe a little different or even better, but, like, the horror not being, like, right in front of you, but being, like, how you're constantly on edge because you could die at any moment. You know, the zombies are
Yes.
very unforgiving.
Yes, I didn't even bring that up. Yeah, like how fast the zombies move in World at War specifically.
Yeah, the insane super sprinters. You know, that brings, like, a very horror element where it's not the zombies that are scary, but, like, what they can do to you, which I think is like, Varuk is one of the best maps for that in general. And in terms of, like, Outbreak, like, this might be a controversial opinion, but I think having an exosuit in zombies is, like, one of the coolest ideas. And I think their implementation was terrible. But, like, if done properly in, like, BO3 or, like, Infinite Warfare, like, they could have had a really interesting, like, map and, like, gameplay system on their hands. But I think Advanced Warfare really wanted to be the first one to do it because they were obviously the first ones to do the exo movement. And I think that really, like, leads into a lot of design choices that they made with exo zombies in general, like having to pack-a-punch 20 times, trying to, like, make it different than the classic pack-a-punch, you know, where at the time you'd only pack-a-punch once. They wanted to make it like, oh yeah, you keep upgrading your gun over and over again, so it's not just, you know, you pack-a-punch once and then you're done. You constantly got to keep going back and upgrading. And I think that in and of itself is kind of a cool idea. Like, I do like, you know, having to keep upgrading your weapon or, like, constantly wanting to get stronger and not just instantly being set up and then just, you know, fighting zombies. But I think that the way that they implemented it was terrible. And they definitely did not take advantage of the exo movement. And they almost kind of de-incentivize using it with the EMP zombies, which constantly knock out your exo. Which is, like, it absolutely ruins the game. Like I think that the infection, the COVID zombies or whatever they are,
the COVID
that's
zombies.
Enough.
Sorry, I love it.
That's enough of, like, a game disruptor where you get hit and you gotta go and cleanse yourself. I think having that and having the EMP zombies, like, it just makes it not fun. Like, you can't get into a groove. Like, you're constantly, like, as opposed to Varuk, where you're constantly on your feet, you're constantly moving around, and, like, you're constantly being attacked by zombies. You're constantly just being bombarded by these different types of zombies, which force you to play in, like, a very unorthodox way. And it feels really weird. Like, you can never really get, like, a grip on an exo zombies. And I think that just really detracts from the whole mode. So I don't think that Outbreak stands any chance against Varuk. Like,
yeah, I think Shreep said pretty much everything I wanted to say. I feel like Outbreak is a map they built a lot of cool mechanics and then they don't want you to use any of them. And Varuk, on the other hand, like, the way that the horror isn't just jump scares, like you said, but it's actually, like, you, the player, are anxious. It's perfect. Yeah, I think everything you guys have said, 100% agree. I think it's Varuk here.
All right, I think we got a clean sweep of Varuk here. I will say, though, I am now going to forever use COVID zombies whenever I do play Outbreak, so thank you for that, stream. And I do want to say one thing too. I actually don't mind Outbreak, but I would definitely say, like, if they would have gotten rid of the EMP zombies, it would have been much better.
It'd be so much better. Yeah. So much better.
Yeah, like, I think it jumps from like a D to like a B almost. That's how much that impacts it. But
it really kills, like, just the flow of the mode. Like, taking away your exosuit is just ridiculous.
Yeah. But anyway, we move on from one AW map to the other. We got D Machine from Cold War versus Carrier from Advanced Warfare.
Okay. Who else here has played Carrier? I know it's me. Sharif.
I have,
I've played
and
it.
I
I
hate
played
it.
it a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Wycliffe?
Not a ton. It's another like 5 plays for me.
Yeah,
So yeah.
okay. I'm a big fan of Carrier. I think Carrier does a lot of it. I think Carrier is complete chaos incarnate. You have the bomb rounds. You have like needing to constantly stay on top of the undead. It's a very close quarters map. There are a ton of open areas though. I think it has a lot of unique mechanics though that really add to it. You have the Pachinko machine. You have the resource management of being able to stop the bombs from going off from the Atlas Strike Team. If you do, you can prevent Goliaths. If you let 3 of them go off, a Goliath spawns in, and they only nuke one area of the map out of many that can spawn. They're not very difficult to kill in solo, or whenever you kill them, they drop camouflage drops too, which make it easier to deactivate the bomb. There are 2, what's it called? Decontamination pads, which I think is the only map with that. You have Exo Stockpile, which is an amazing perk. It's Bandolier, gives you extra lethals and tacticals, and it's a lot of fun to use. Anyways, my vote's going to D Machine, so. Just the infinitely way better built map. It starting out in Noct is almost poetic for the Dark Ether storyline. I love that factor about it. I think Orlov is the heart and soul of the map, and I think that his whole connection to it really works. The dies are a lot of fun. It's essentially just jet guns if they were massively improved, the elemental variants, even if I don't use all the variants. But for the start of the Dark Ether storyline, it does a really good job setting up mystery and establishing itself as a narrative. Unlike Voyage, which goes way too heavy-handed with its lore, and unlike with Spaceland, which does nothing with it, Gross and House, which has a pretty good medium too, and then most other storylines which barely get a chance to start or have almost no, like the original zombie storyline has almost no starting point. By the time you get to BO1, it's just already begun. So I think D Machine does a really good job establishing its narrative, unlike most other experiences.
So I think we're in agreement that
That's all
I think we're in agreement.
Yeah,
D Machine all the way.
Anything else? Anyone want to defend Carrier?
Hey, Carrier has Bruce Campbell. That's pretty epic.
Oh, good point.
That is a good point.
that is like the only redeeming quality is I really like Bruce Campbell as a playable character. That is very cool.
Yes.
But that's nothing. That's nothing compared to D Machine.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think D Machine clean sweep.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
All right. So now we move on to Dead Ops Arcade 3 versus the Beast from Beyond.
Now, quick question. I know Lee Ross considers it. Do we consider Mephistopheles a part of Beast from Beyond?
Yeah.
I will say, for the sake of argument, Mephistopheles can be included because it is technically part of its map and everything, but I'll leave it all up to you guys in terms of the discussion. I'll say yes.
I think it should be.
Like
I think
something
Okay,
like
you think it should be? Okay, just for posterity's sake.
yeah,
Okay.
Takeo's Katana on Revelations, you need to have done the other maps, but it's still on Revelations. So I feel like
Correct.
I think the difference
it's
between that is that like Takeo's Katana is so inconsequential. I think like the biggest thing that whole super Easter egg changes is that it makes the Rev boss fight easier. That's about it. Whereas like Mephistopheles, that's a whole
It's huge. That's a huge
different.
difference.
It's director's cut. It's how it affects replayability. It is the boss fight itself, which is fantastic. But I think for posterity, we will count it. I was just curious. I think if I had to compare the two, Dead Ops Arcade 3 is the better of the two, without a doubt in my mind. I think when I think of one that is more fun as a complete package, I think it's Dead Ops Arcade 3. Beast from Beyond, I think, is one of the worst zombies maps ever designed. In terms of like not just like Terra Maldicta or Transit, but like an actual fully fledged map that puts its whole heart and soul into giving players something unique and fun to do. I think it misses every single mark it tries to hit. The ninja zombie showing up did not need to be there. The slasher showing up did not need to be there. The cryptids are absolutely cracked out of their minds.
They are on crack.
They down you way too quickly with the armor, with the lack of armor and resources the player has at their disposal. The first 3 rounds play terribly because you just sit in a corner until you can turn on power, so the cryptids aren't even well utilized there. The Wonder Weapon quest is one of the worst in the series. The boss fight, the cryptid boss fight, might be my least favorite section in all of zombies, and it's not fun. It's tedious, it's arduous, it takes maybe 20 minutes to get there, but that doesn't mean it's not fun. It's easily cheesed, which is the best way people play, and if it's most fun cheesable, it's not fun at all. That might be a loaded phrase, but regardless, the fact that I have to cheese it to have fun is not a very good sign. And like I know some people just use an invisibility pistol that makes you invisible, and you just spam that till you win, which I don't think is a very good sign for its balancing. And overall, it sucks. But then you have Mephistopheles. Mephistopheles is a ton of fun. I think Mephistopheles is super well designed, unlike the experience that comes literally preceding it. And his replayability adds so much to IW. But by God, do I just despise Beast from Beyond. I think anything would go over, in my opinion. But what about you guys?
I think the thing that stuck out... Oh, sorry, Shreep, you go ahead.
I was just going to ask, how much have you played Beast from Beyond, Whitecliff?
I haven't played a ton. I played a little bit. I have not done the IW Super Easter Egg. That's something I still want to go through, but I haven't done it yet, so I haven't even played Mephistopheles. I was just going to speak from a position mostly of watching Stanley's re-review. What you said about the way that they kind of threw all the enemies onto the map without thinking about the consequences of it, the way that like different enemies want you to play the game in different ways and they're not really compatible with each other. That's a sign of not the best design, and so that really stuck with me. And I think that like thinking back again to something like Revelations, which did that, I think there was none of those issues there. So I think it's possible to do, but the way it was done with very little thought into it, I think it definitely speaks to the design issues with that map for sure.
Yeah. I mean, look at Forsaken. Forsaken's got over 10 enemies on it, and that manages to not, even if they're all mishmash, they don't manage to stumble over each other.
Yeah.
Due to how powerful your weaponry is, due to the armor system, due to how like the game is designed, whereas Beast from Beyond does it completely wrong. I hate that map.
I mean, yeah, like I understand like where you're coming from with the wide range of special enemies, and like I think that it's ridiculous, but they almost do it right, and like they're so close to doing it right. I think that like where you bust out of the map, like where you bust out of the movie and you emerge in the theater, I think that maybe if the special enemies only came out there, like they were also busting out of the movie, then maybe you could have them presented in a way where like you could kill the Shaolin zombies, easier. You're not like running away from them, having them teleport in front of you. But like the fact that they'll all spawn while you're inside Beast from Beyond is ridiculous. Like it doesn't make any sense. There's no like reason or explanation for why they do. And like you said, like the Shaolin zombies spawning in on Beast from Beyond, like it I mean, I'm not a huge hater of them. Like I know they're really hard to get from or get away from, like if you're sprinting and stuff. But like if you just stop and kill them as soon as they spawn in, I think they're not that bad to deal with. They're more of like a nuisance if anything. But like bringing them back from Shaolin on Beast is just such a weird decision choice. And it just seems like if they would have like limited it to when you're outside of the map and you're in like the real world and you're getting bombarded by stuff from every map, like maybe there was a theater room for each movie that had a hole in it and zombies coming out that you could like turn off or something or patch up to like stop the Shaolin zombies from spawning in. Then like that could have been implemented in such a better way. But just throwing everything at you for the sake of throwing everything at you just seems so unnecessary, and it's ridiculous.
They're just like, well, Treyarch did that in Revelations. Why can't we just do that without any of the understanding of how that works?
Thinking about how
due to how they uniquely build each of their enemies.
Yeah, and like
now. The only issue I have with that idea is that like I would never go to the theater. It would be like rave mode where I would just never use that feature in the entire map if I could.
Yeah.
So fun fact, when you use the teleporters at high rounds, you actually are purposely ambushed by special enemies. One of them being ninja zombies. So there will be times where if you come out through portals, you will just be bombarded by ninja zombies and there's nothing you can do but you go immediately down. And if that doesn't speak to how poorly the map is designed, I don't know what does.
It's pretty rough. I mean, like there are some stuff in the Easter egg that I don't really mind. Like I think it's cool. Like Neil coming back is a really cool touch. Like,
yeah, that's cool.
Like having the Hoff come back is really cool. I really wish that they would have had a playable Neil for that map for the celebrity.
Especially because like they have the skin in multiplayer.
Yeah, they have the skin, and like it would have fit so well on the map if when you pull Neil's head out of the system and you put it on the computer at the end of the Easter egg, maybe in between that you'd pull his head off and put it on the body of a robot, and then you've got like Civil Protector Neil with you, like helping you out or something, and then at the end of the Easter egg he comes through the portal with you, you take his head off, and then you put it on the computer to go to the cryptid boss battle. Like it just seems like pulling it with the entangler from the console to there, like there's just so much that you could have fit in there to really flesh out Neil and flesh out the map and like flesh out like buying Neil to help you out and stuff like that to deal with the Shaolin zombies. Like it just seems like the Easter egg is so linear and straightforward with, you know, like shooting the skull to all stand in the spot where, you know, you get the entangler and then you do the floppy disk step and like then you hack Neil. Like it's just like one step after the other. Like it's very quick, it's very simple, and then you get to the cryptid boss battle, and it's just a pain in the ass. Like, like you said earlier with the one pistol where you hide for the entire match, and then like if you've got the Mauler and you've got what is it called, Ego Trip, you can literally cheese the cryptids before they even come out of the box, which
the mammoths, Same thing with
is
the EVR
ridiculous.
bombs too,
Like it's just ridiculous because like although it is nice to have that cheese because the boss is not fun really. Like it's basically just you train around, turn around, shoot it, keep training, turn around and shoot it. Like
you do that for like
arena
10 minutes, man.
It's so long. It's so like just boring. You know, if you screw up even a little bit, like you're gonna get swarmed, you're gonna get downed. And I mean, I think that one thing that is nice about it is that like they have those perks up on the balcony where you can get those perks back, which is something I really like about some of the IW Easter eggs, where you're not completely screwed over, even though you kind of are if you don't get the right perk loadout. It's not good. But I think that like Mephistopheles After really brings it all in, which I think is really the only thing that the Beast from Beyond can stand on, is the fact that after you do trudge through all of that, you get like the best boss battle in all of zombies, period.
Quick question, Shreep. Have you ever built the Venom X without Director's Cut?
No, and I know how you do it, and I don't want to do it.
I almost implore every Zombies fan.
I know how you do it. It does not look fun
to do
at
it because
all.
it is one of the worst things ever.
It
It is just a like we talk about like eggs being poorly designed.
It is bad.
I cannot recommend it enough to give it a shot and just see how bad it gets. You have to do Morse code. It's glitchy. It's annoying. It's grindy. You have to basically reverse engineer or Morse code with a Vignette cipher.
Yeah. See, I've and like it's not like I've avoided that on purpose because there's nothing fun about that. Like unless I was doing it to do it, like why would you want to do that? Like it's just so stupid, and like. By the time, because like the Venom X is good for the cryptids, it's all right, but you might as well keep the Kendalls. Not keep them. You need to get them, which that also is.
You have to get them from the box. It's RNG.
You need to get them from the box, which is terrible. But you're better off just getting the Kendalls. You're better off just getting the Spartan or something, because by the time you do get to Mephistopheles, you've got Director's Cut, so you might as well just hit the box when you're about to go in. You might as well just hit the box for the Venom, and then you could just upgrade it. There really is like no reason to do the Venom upgrade step unless you don't have DC.
Yeah.
So
anyways, I think Beast from Beyond should go ahead totally, 100% after all we just said.
No, absolutely not. Dead Ops Arcade.
We didn't say a single word about Dead Ops Arcade, but it just goes on.
We'll go over it.
We don't even need to talk about it. How terrible Beast is made Dead Ops win. We didn't even need to talk about it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Wycliffe, any objections?
Nope, I'm with you. Fully with you.
Okay.
All right. So Dead Ops Arcade moves on, and now we got basically another awesome boss battle versus a map with overall good quality. So, Call of the Dead from BO1 versus the Archon.
So, I think I'll start out here. I think Call of the Dead should infinitely move forward. So I think I'll talk mostly about what the Archon does right. Archon's got a cool question mark boss fight. think it's a bit repetitive.
It is cool. I like it. I think it's.
I just don't
it's not
like
the
how most
best,
weapons
but-
are completely unusable in that first phase, though, because of how high up the eye is. It has such a bad hitbox.
Yeah, that is true.
I like that the shield's integrated. It sucks up the little deadly orbs. That's a cool way to utilize it, but you're never told about this. So if you'll just randomly use it one day on accident, and it might work.
Yeah, not a lot of people use the shield on the Archon too because it's
Which
so
is
annoying
actually-
with its voice lines.
Oh, I like the shield. The
I would-
decimated shield has lived.
Oh man.
I love that guy. He's so wacky. But yeah, no, I think the Archon. There's no competition here. It's an it's
really
a
isn't.
try at them making an Easter egg just for the map. They have to reuse the entirety of Terra Delicta with it being a bit updated for round based. And it exists as a map. I'll say that. Boss fight's cool. I like that you can fight Cortifex. I'm glad they at least did that. But Cortifex deserves.
Yeah,
to be
and then after he dies, he's got the most fitting ending of all time.
Falling in a
Yeah.
hole.
And like it's
Falling into a
also
hole
it's,
and being gone.
we don't even know what happens to him. It's implied he gets consumed by Zykov, but we don't actually know if he does or not.
Black Ops
So-
6, maybe he'll come back.
Black Ops 6, he deserves
Yeah.
to be. He needs to come back in a better game, please.
Oh my god,
Oh my god, I need to see this guy interact with Rick Toffin and Peck.
that would be kind of funny actually. But yeah, I
Hmm.
think clean sweep, Call is dead. No questions.
Yeah, easily.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no questions. Wycliffe, yeah, cool. All right.
No, yeah, I'll talk about Call of the Dead when it moves
So-
on. We're good.
All right. So next matchup, we got the
Oh.
Final Reich versus Firebase Z.
This is an interesting one.
Now, I already
Okay,
kind of know where I would be,
um,
even though I haven't played World War II.
I
so
know I know which one I'm pointing to. It's the Final Reich. I like Firebase Z a whole bunch. But when I compare a map that is almost handcrafted from the ground up to be a cinematic Dead Space Call of Duty Zombies experience,
Yep.
the Final Reich pulls it off in spades, whereas Firebase Z has some cool moments, it's got some cool ideas, but it is like the map design itself, the map aesthetic is the most generic, let's put a zombies map in a facility set in Vietnam, create it with AI, and that's what it poops out.
Very much.
I'm not
so.
saying that Firebase Z isn't a work of art. I'm not saying that it isn't handcrafted because the most of the map is handcrafted from the ground up. But to me, it's just the most generic zombies map there could possibly
It doesn't.
be.
I don't think it's conveyed well. I agree. I think
No.
yeah,
No.
World War II zombies, like it's one of its biggest strengths is its aesthetics and its
Mhm.
like atmosphere, and that comes across most in the Final Reich and the Shadow Throne. So I think that just based on that purely, like Final Reich gets so many points. It's
Yeah.
such a cool atmosphere to be in.
Also got 2 Easter eggs. That's dope.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like that's so cool that like it appeals to a casual audience. Some people have done the casual quest just to see what it's about, which is super cool. Firebase Z's got the Ray K, easy to unlock, unlike the Tesla gun upgrades in Final Reich, which are arduous to put it lightly.
Fair. Yeah, that's true.
And-
okay, can I chime in on that for a second though? The dart step sucks ass.
Oh, yeah, Darkstep's kind of annoying, yeah. Straub is a cool villain. Peck is a funny villain. Something I really like about Firebase Z, I really do like the narrative theme of deception and like loyalty and what it means to fight for your country. How like both Ravenov and Peck are opposites of each other. They're foils. They both have what's the word? Not detracted. Defected. They both defected
Oh,
from their own
yes.
sides. Ravenov is defecting from the USSR. Peck is defected from America, and they're both working on different sides for their own self-interest. Ravenov for the good of his homeland, and Peck for his own self-interest and his own discovery of his own research. I think they both play off each other very well. Firebase Z is also the last map where Samantha gets to be a character before she becomes a plot device, and a boring mute who gets to spout out. She turns into a Kingdom Hearts monologue where she just says a whole bunch of platitudes and does nothing until Forsaken. Which I love Samantha, but that's literally what she becomes by the intel at that point.
No, yeah, I was sick of Samantha by Forsaken, just Deus Ex
I know.
Machina in 2 separate maps.
Yeah.
It was frustrating.
I know. I am a good soul weaver. This
Yeah.
is the only way. What are we talking about here, man?
No, but I really like what you said about what Peck and
Peck and
Ravenov. No,
Ravenov,
that was
Ravenov, yeah.
Yeah, that I hadn't thought about that, but like
Yes.
even physically on the map, they're both like behind like I didn't
Yeah,
think
they're
about those
both
comparisons
opposite sides
before.
of the map, yeah. Which
Yeah,
I think is really
you-
cool that they tried writing that narrative in. They're two
Yeah.
of the Dark Ether storylines probably strongest characters. Especially Ravenov. I love him, but I'm so sad that he doesn't get used in MWZ. But
Mm-hmm.
besides that. What about you, Shreve? Any thoughts?
I really
Or at
don't
least
have
both
much
maps that you
to add
haven't
here.
played on either map.
Well, no, I did play Firebase C, and actually this is a thing that I do like about Firebase C is when Firebase C dropped, the night that it dropped, I played with some of my friends, and we solved the Easter egg on our own, which, like,
Wow. Really?
yeah, and like that was a really cool moment. Even though I don't like Firebase C, like I've maybe played it 2 or 3 times after that, but the day that it dropped, you know, like without looking anything up, like playing it through ourselves and like solving the Easter egg, like that was,
Dude.
that's not really something that you get from zombies, especially with like BO2, BO3, BO4. You're always following guides and stuff. So to have them, even though like the way that they dumb down the difficulty and stuff on the maps is very controversial in Cold War, I think like being able to hop in, you know, the day it drops and like solve it yourself was a really cool experience, and like that to me, like that's like a positive memory I have of Firebase C. But after that, you know, when playing through it, I wasn't like at all taken aback by the design or anything. Like you said, it's the most like generic, let's make a zombies map set in a facility or whatever. So there was nothing like bringing me back to the map. Like after we'd played it, it's like, oh yeah, we solved the Easter egg, like that's cool, now it's over. Like there was nothing ever bringing me back to the map, so I'd never really played it. And like the Final Reich, like I've literally played that like a handful of times, never like trying to do the Easter egg or anything. Like I've never played it with anybody before. Like I've just played it solo or like with randoms, because it's World War II and none of my friends played that. So I really can't say anything about the Final Reich. And so I would say that I would choose Firebase C just because I do have some fond memories of it, even though it's not a super amazing map.
I agree. Let me think. Is there anything else we want to say about these two maps? Not really, right?
I think we're promoting Final Reich is what we're thinking.
Yeah,
so I'm
Final
just
Reich.
trying to
Yes,
think
Final Reich. Yes.
specifically Firebase Z. I think we said it. Like I guess there's an interesting dynamic there with the defense rounds, whatever they're called, where the
Yes, I love the
tower.
defense, the holdout rounds. Yes, I think that's
Yeah.
really cool. That's like the one time they bring back the tower defense gameplay besides like Gorod's G-Strike
Right.
lockdown.
Yeah, I think it happens infrequently enough that it's not like, oh, I got to go back and do that again. Like it happens.
Yes.
You're excited to do it by the time it comes up. Yeah.
Also, I think it's super cool to get to fight Orda as well too.
Yeah.
Like before he
Yeah,
actually is,
that
like,
was a pretty
released.
cool boss.
But yeah, I think I'm still good with Final Reich.
All right.
Sounds good.
So we got Final Reich moving on, and the last one in this section, we have Tagder Toten versus Nuketown.
Tiger Totem.
Interesting.
Tog all the way. I don't even. I
Yeah.
Nuketown's such a nothing map to me.
Fair enough.
I've gotten a lot of heat for saying that, but I agree. Like it's fun for a challenge. It's better than Town in that like there's some dynamicism to it. Like it's
Yes.
evolving in a certain way. Like you can play it as like, oh, I didn't get jugged till round 20 this time, but it's just the most basic map of all
Its
time.
novelty is also its biggest weakness.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right.
like I don't want to
Yeah,
have to
'cause
sit
it-
to around 20 minimum to get jug.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh wow, I didn't get jugged to round 20. It's more like, oh fuck, I didn't get jugged to round 20.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
You're not happy because of that. You're like, are you serious? Like you're giving me everything except for jug. Like it is a cool idea. Like you know, you've got the map. Like it's not just like you're running around and finding the perks and they might be in random spots. It's like they're not there. Like you're waiting
and-
for them.
Yeah. Like the biggest thing
You
is you're
can't
making
just
like,
open the whole map and find them. Like you gotta wait.
yeah, like you have all these different trade-offs, all these different risk versus reward based on like what you get, and like you're hoping that like what you get is something more useful than something you might not need. Like you know, like you might want to forego quick revive in co-op because like oh well I need jug more than anything. Yeah,
You
Tog
can get
easily.
really-
We'll
you can
talk.
get
We'll talk
really
about Tog
shafted.
later
All right.
when we talk about
Yeah.
it.
Sounds good. And then,
For sure.
all right, and then Garad moves on. It was the 2 seed in the in this side of the bracket, and now we move on to the final section of the bracket, the Chaos side. Shadows of Evil got the number 1 seed. Ancient Evil also got the number 2 seed, so they have the first round buys. Shadows of Evil's first opponent, though, will either be Ascension or the Shadowed Throne.
This is the unique one. So I have a big, strong, nostalgic love for Ascension. It was the first map I had actually gotten good at when I was 10 years old. It was the one map where I wouldn't cry when I would play zombies because I actually stood a chance in some way, shape, or form. But the Shadowed Throne does so many unique, dynamic things. We talk about Terminus being a living world map. Shadowed Throne is a living world map. When you come out of the apartments, you see Straub Zeppelin flying overhead. There is just fire in Berlin. The whole city is just war torn. It is Go Ride Crovy, but done in World War II style. It is absolutely everything has just gone to complete high hell, and the map is alive. You come across soldiers being murdered. You hear the screams of people. You have to redirect the Russian forces so they don't get murdered by Straub's army. You have to call for help. Straub Zeppelin comes in and launches anchors everywhere, which summons the Gekoks. And it's a very dynamic experience. Once that first 30 minutes, 20 minutes is over, the map quiets down a lot more, and it's a very small map. It honestly is about maybe a little bit smaller than Liberty Falls, thinking about it now. And it's a unique map for sure. It's got some cool Wonder Weapon quest lines that drive me up a wall. And the boss fight is super engaging, but it takes forever. I would have to go with Ascension just for purely, I think it does some things more better and more interesting. I like the aesthetic more of Ascension, whereas Shadow Throne is a living, breathing world that kind of stops living and breathing past round 10. And Shadow Throne can be quite arduous to play through. Every time you want to play it, you can either do simple setup, or if you want to do the Easter egg, you have to build wonder weapons, you have to unlock safes, you have to do all this annoying quest stuff. And that's not as fun for stuff that should be intrinsically given, should be more easily obtainable to players. But it has a really good aesthetic that takes right after Final Reich, and I think it's a really fun map. But I might have to go with Ascension, which is pretty hard to say. I think they both have pros and cons that are completely different from one another. These might be two of the most dissimilar maps on the so far combating each other.
This is the closest matchup I think I've had to deal with because they're so different and they're so hard to compare.
Yeah.
See, I agree with almost everything you said, but I might actually lean the other way. For me, my problem with Ascension is the thing I like the most about Shadowed Throne. Ascension to me feels very, just visually it's gray and lifeless. Like even after you turn the power on, it's still Soviet architecture. It's still concrete, just like gray everywhere. But Shadowed Throne, like you said, even though the living world, like you said, does die off after the first couple rounds, I think it makes it sets you up and puts you in that mind space to feel like you're playing in a more real space and like a more active world. Yeah, I don't know. I did play a ton of Ascension. It's just maybe it's because I've stared at those walls for too long, but just like playing on it, I feel like maybe it's also the easiness of it, like PhD Flopper, obviously, makes it the easiest map of all time. That's where we first started seeing round 100s on YouTube because
it was possible to actually do it.
Yeah.
It was easy enough to survive on it.
Like, yeah, I don't, maybe it's just like when I think of Ascension, I think of I'll play for a bit. It starts and it's very visually uninteresting, and then it's like gameplay uninteresting once you get PhD Flopper. The monkeys try and keep it dynamic by stealing your perks, but that's more of an annoyance. Like you're just like, oh, I'll let them take everything but Jug and then go buy them all before the round starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like in solo, you just get quick revive and Jug, and then you just defend those two, and then you just get your other two perks afterwards.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I could be convinced either way here, but like preliminary thoughts, I think I would actually lean Shadowed Throne. So yeah.
Anything you want to say, Shreeb? Because I have some thoughts on Ascension actually.
I mean, in terms of the Shadowed Throne, I've never played it, so I literally can't say anything about it. I've never even played it once. Ascension, I think a lot of my points would probably be motivated by like nostalgia, because this Ascension was the first map that I ever played like at a friend's house, like with a friend.
Nice.
And so that like Ascension, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Ascension, it really like it's just very nostalgic, very classic. Like what you said earlier, Stanley, with like Firebase C being the most bland, like boring, just set in a facility. I feel like Ascension is kind of the opposite of that. Like I think like being set in a facility, like it makes sense within the context of the story, you know, where you're, you know, fixing the Casimir mechanism and stuff. Like you're there for a purpose. And it was the first, you know, Easter egg, the first kind of like story-based Easter egg. And so I think that gives it some major points, but also we can't lean too hard on that, like what you said earlier with Nocturne Totem, where it's about the map itself and not necessarily like the impact it's had on zombies as a whole. But I can't really say anything about the Shadow Throne because I've never played it. But
Fair.
I think that Ascension, like with the addition of PhD, really bumping up like the Mustang and Sally's and the ray gun, like PhD is probably my favorite perk. So I think that's like a huge bonus. And then just like the classic strat of training in like spawn, like that's just like just very classic. Like a lot of it is motivated by nostalgia, but I think like even though Ascension is not the best map, like I think it's a very like robust map that has like I think it has a lot going for it in terms of BO1 and what a BO1 map would have going for it as opposed to like Keynote or Totem just kind of being like a Der Riese 2.
Okay. For me personally, I think that like Ascension is a map where 100% less is more to me. I think of the sound effects. I think of the world of Ascension. It is the mystery of the world that you don't get to see that I think really sells Ascension to me. It's one of those few maps where I've always kind of filled in the pieces, and that might like filled in the blanks. And that might just be because when I played the map, I was 10. It's one of the few maps I have this kind of connection to. Whereas most maps I don't feel that way. Ascension was always you're playing a world after it's already been taken over. You get to feel the destruction. You get to feel the hopelessness of it. It's the sirens blaring. It's the call of the lunar lander of the monkeys coming out from space. It's when something happens in the middle of the nothing that I think is always stuck out of my mind to me. It might just be completely nostalgia talking, but it's something that's always felt like Ascension was always something more than it really was. And I always felt like maybe that must be my imagination talking, but Ascension has always kind of held that soft spot in my heart because of that. So I still might have to go Ascension. I agree, I could easily be swayed either way. So this might actually be like such a difficult pick, though. What do you guys think after that?
No, I think I'm happy to say Ascension here. I'm not upset about that. Thinking about it now, like I honestly for a second I put the Easter egg out of my mind, but obviously it had the first
the
Easter
Easter
egg.
egg. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I remember solving that. Like PhD Flopper is again a very cool perk. Obviously too good, but it was fun while it lasted. Yeah, I'm happy to say Ascension here, I think.
All right, so we got Ascension moving on. Let's say that was
not an easy pick though.
Let's say that's what I love about the 8-9 matchups. They all seem to be like neck and neck, and like there's a good fight between each one. So that's why I like this first round here, at least of the.
Yeah, it seems like the tier list was well set up to have these.
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah,
controversial picks.
Exactly. Yeah. But moving on from one. Let's say, I just realized I have 3 BO1 maps versus 3 World War II maps in a row. But let's oh my god, I didn't even think about that. But let's move on to 5 versus the Frozen Dawn.
I'll start first just to say that again, I've never played the Frozen Dawn, so I can't say anything about it. But 5 has, one of the best zombies crews, one of the most unique ones. Like it's. I don't think we'll ever get like another crew like that ever again. Like having like JFK, Nixon, Robert McNamara, and Castro. Like that's just such like a cool, real world people cast, and having them fight against zombies as opposed to like fictional characters. It really is cool seeing them like how they would take on the zombies, and like they have tons of like amazing quotes, and like. That itself is enough to like sell me on like even just getting into 5, like seeing that crew, and then you get into 5 and like the Pentagon as a zombies map is such like a cool and unique idea, and I think like going down into the underground layers of it, kind of where like you would never see because it's all top secret and stuff like that really is cool. And like the Winter's Howl being as mid as it is. Again, is another unique. Like they really were going hard with the unique wonder weapons in BO1, and like it just has such a amazing aesthetic. Like, the Pentagon Thief is another like very unique like not necessarily boss zombie, but like special zombie, I guess. And like the fact that he'll straight up take your gun, and like you can kill him and get the bonfire sail power up, which is another like very unique thing. Like there's just a lot of like things about 5 that I think aren't really like you don't see a lot of like in modern zombies, or just even in zombies going forward after 5. I think it's just like it's one of those maps where like it's a 1 in a million map. Like, it's just such a cool thing, and the way that it like ties to campaign too, and just Black Ops 1 in general, like it is like the definitive like Black Ops 1 map, like the story map. It's one of my favorite maps, I would say. And that's not just because of my affinity for presidents.
I do want to
Fair
jump in
enough.
here just ahead of Stanley, because I think I
You're
haven't
good,
played a ton of Frozen Dawn, so you're gonna have to kind of carry that side. But just to kind of give some more arguments for 5, again, as someone who doesn't know what it's arguing against, I think that, like Shreeb said, like the atmosphere is one of the coolest things that they've done. The way that it progresses from like a literal, totally normal office space to like, ooh, this is kind of some military stuff, to like the absolute horror of the labs. That's such a cool progression to actually play through and take the elevator down each time. And as well, you said the Pentagon Thief. I think that is one of the coolest boss enemies that they haven't really utilized since, except maybe the Witches Unburied, in that they don't deal any damage to you. They just take resources. And somehow, like, losing your fully kitted out gun is scarier than dying for some reason. Like, it gives you more anxiety than a dog round. I think it's such a cool mechanic that they haven't taken advantage of a lot recently. But yeah, I think 5 is fantastic. But please, Stanley, go ahead.
All right, it's time. I'm picking 5. So basically, Frozen Dawn is a terrible experience. It is. People talk about like the stats being complicated, or like insert Treyarch map with complicated like Wonder Weapon unlock quest here. Frozen Dawn is literally Wonder Weapon unlocking the map if it was the most complicated process on planet Earth. Most of them aren't fun to build. They're okay when they're fully built. They're cool. The Thulian weapons are nice. The Easter egg is just building those 4 weapons and then you fight the boss fight. The God King boss fight is one of the hot takes that I have to fight people on. That boss fight is absolute garbage. I'd rather cheese it than actually play it. It's just not fun. You just basically run around an arena for 12 minutes while you shoot at the God King while he's temporarily invincible every like 5 seconds. So you can't even shoot him. And then there are some attacks that he has that instantly breaks your armor. So you're constantly repairing armor. It's not fun. The map is terrible. It looks pretty, but let's talk about 5 now. 5, a map that does so much with so little. The cast and crew are absolutely elevated by the writing and voice acting. They do such a great job. Just like Ascension, the sound effects, the music, and the lack thereof at times, the horror of it, the fact that it takes an entire section from campaign, like the underground labs, and it is more iconic and classified in 5 than it ever was in campaign because of that. Zombies is a way to uniquely elevate experiences than just making them one-time hallways and make them part of a replayable experience. You can jump through the windows, that's really cool. You can you can build traps the first time, which is really cool too. The map uses difficulty in such a really good way. Unlike Kino, 5 is willing to put players to the test, and it's asking them, are they good enough to survive? Which I don't think a lot of maps were able to accomplish later on. 5 has always been you're going to get better, you're going to like it more as you grow with it as a player, and I think that's true in my opinion with it. 5 was a map I detested back in the day. I thought it was terrible. I was terrible at it, but the more I played it and the more I've gotten better at it, the more fun it is. It is such a unique world to step into that I think both 5 and Classified are 2 different maps due to the ways that they play. Also, I comment on you, Whitecliff. I think the Pentagon Thief is a super interesting enemy, but due to the shift in power balance with how you interact with enemies, I just don't see them doing those types of enemies anymore. Because if Yuri wasn't Classified, everyone's pulling out their specialists and they're murdering him before he even has a chance to step out of the teleporter. He stands no chance.
Yeah.
That's true.
True.
Yeah.
But anyways, 5 is what I'm picking. I think Frozen Dawn is complete garbage.
So we got a full 5 sweep. And then our final BO1 versus World War II matchup that I did not intend to make. We got Moon versus the Darkest Shore.
I'll let one of you guys go first. Actually, have either of you guys played the Darkest Shore?
Not a
Is it
ton.
just me?
No,
Oh,
this is you again.
crap.
I love
Okay,
Moon though, so
so
you're going to be
I-
arguing against an idiot this whole time.
Okay, well here's the thing. I love Moon too. Moon is like, I think BO1 Moon I love to death. BO3 Moon I think is fantastic. But this won't really be a Moon conversation, I suppose. For me, Darkest Shore, I love Darkest Shore. I think a lot of people write it off too quickly. I think it has a very unique, different vibe than most zombies maps go for, and I think it's super cool. The lore of Helgoland is really cool with how it takes from actual World War II. I almost said mythology. Lore takes after history. I think the idea of it being Straub's like actual lab is really cool because we never really get to see the labs in zombies. We never really get to see where they're created. We get to see labs, but we never actually get to see like home bases for these guys. Like where are the zombies created? Where like Derice is a laboratory facility, but I don't really feel like we get to see enough of like. I don't really get the vibe that Derice is Richtofen's lab or like 935's lab where they like worked on zombies. Kino, same thing. Like you're telling me this movie theater was where they hypnotize the zombies. I just don't really see the connection there. Darkest Shore, I think, pulls it off really well. The thematics of Darkest Shore are fantastic, especially during the Easter egg and the main quest. The main quest is what elevates the map for me a whole bunch. Every zombie gets a role to play in the map. Everyone gets to play a part in it. As you slowly try and unlock the secrets of the island. The egg is kind of nonsensical. It doesn't really make any sense. It's probably one of its biggest issues. A lot of what you do doesn't really match up to what's happening in the map. But I think there are really cool PvP sections where you have to battle the boats, you have to battle the planes. That makes use of some campaign aspects really well. And the Moichulars themselves have a really unique cat and mouse gameplay style that works really well with the fog, even if they do way too much damage. Something that World War II falters on in all of its unique enemies is that every single enemy is just, what if it was fast and did a lot of damage? The Moichulars are fast and do a lot of damage and have a lot of health. The Gekox and Shadow Throne move really fast and do a lot of damage. The Corpse Eaters in Frozen Dawn have a lot of health, or move very fast and do a lot of damage. They all do the exact same thing when you break it down. The Wonder Weapon, the Ripsaw, is there. It exists. It's cool. But the Easter egg is where I think the map shines, and no matter how difficult that Easter egg is and how annoying it can be sometimes. It's really fun to play, though. But anyways, Moon's going forward, so.
Yeah, I think...
That's another conversation I'm going to get Darkest Shore.
No, yeah, speaking mostly from the aesthetic side, because I haven't dived deep enough into the map to know all the side Easter eggs and things like that, but Darkest Shore, like, I think it's very cool. Like, to start the map, you're on that beach, and then there's the big
round
horde
zero
coming at you. Like, it's interesting that it's going against Moon, because that's kind of what it is. I think that's actually a really cool implementation, and before, like, there's a round zero before round one, I think that's super cool, and aesthetically, I completely agree. I think it's, like, the pinnacle of what World War II was trying to do with, it feels like exactly 50% very real, grounded history, World War II inspired, and then there's the other part of the map that's very like spooky lab, like, and like you said, it does feel very much like a lab in a way that you're completely right about Kino and Derice. They feel just kind of, you don't get the sense that people actually worked there, but this feels like a real space. So yeah, I 100% agree that Darkest Shore deserves a lot of credit for what it did atmospherically, but I do love Moon too much.
Absolutely, I agree. Fun fact: did you know that in Darkest Shore, if you basically like cheese the undead and you go into like, you hide in corners in the spawn room, you can despawn all the zombies and they'll all spawn around one instead.
Really?
So basically, instead of getting like 10 points per zombie, you can get like 4,000 points in round one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. I'll try it out.
Yeah. Also, I love the reference to George Romero with the intro sequence of the zombies popping out of the water. They're very slow moving, like especially Land of the Dead. Mm-hmm. It's so what a cool reference with the World War II zombies. It's such a iconic moment that like, I think there's a video of all the World War II cutscenes online, and that's the thumbnail for it. It has like 11 million views or something like that.
No, that's a great shot.
That sticks out to people a lot.
I hear so many complaints about the beach in general. Like, they say it's too foggy. I think it's a great like area. I love. A lot
of people don't like the fog in general. I understand that.
I do understand
fog
it,
is just
but
moistular.
Yeah, that's fair.
But like, I like the fog. I like that it comes in and out. I think it adds a really cool thematic feel to the level. Like if this was Dead Space, that entire section would be like intermittent fog to make it more difficult. Yeah, no, Moon. We'll talk about Moon later when we compare it to 5, since we talk so much about 5.
I was gonna say we got a full Moon sweep here, and then this.
Oh my God! This is the Stanley gets to talk about World War II.
I'm sorry. I did not intend for it to be like this. But we got ZNS versus.
I'll tell you right now.
I have a very strong feeling.
Just moves that bow up. I'm not even going to talk about torture. Anyone? Any disagreements? Any objections?
No objections.
Tortured Path is garbage. Don't even get me started on that. Oh my God.
We'll just insert a picture of Stanley and then a giant middle finger pointing towards
pretty much. Yeah.
Let's just do that.
All right. That's about fun map. Whatever. Moving on.
Yep, we'll talk about it.
Yep, and then the next map, our next matchup, we got Revelations versus Alpha
Omega.
I'll ask anyone now. Do we have any objections just for moving on Revelations?
No.
Okay, so then let's talk about Alpha Omega before we leave it behind. Alpha Omega is such a it's everything about the map is fun except actually playing it, and that's I think the highest compliment I can give it. It's got great characters, it has amazing writing, it has great music, probably some of the best in the series, thanks to Brian Toohey. Rushmore super cool. The Avogadro is cool. I like that he comes back. Some people don't like it. I like that he comes back.
Yep, same.
Mr. Purnell, very cool.
Cornelius Purnell was my mortal name. And the storyline implications are really cool. The way it like merges all the Victus storyline with the Aether storyline, and everything seems to actually cohesively work with Alpha Omega. You have Russman showing up, you have George Barkley with him, you have who is referenced only in Die Rise. You have Broken Arrow being completed finally with who Purnell is, how Broken Arrow was created. We learned the name of the 4th Marine. Fun fact, what's the name of the 4th Marine? Anyone know?
Oh, wait. It's John
It's
Banana.
revealed in Alpha Omega. You have John Banana, Smokey, Tank Dempsey. Who's number 4? It's only in Alpha Omega. They reveal who he is.
I don't know.
His name is Paxton Gunner Ridge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's only revealed in Alpha Omega lore. He's the one who actually brings Peter McCain's body back to the States. Also, Peter McCain's on the map. Forgot about that too. Yeah, he's the one who gets Peter out of Europe. But after he hangs himself, or sorry, Shino Numa is where he hangs himself. Anyways, or he gets hung.
It was an accident.
So, yeah. It was an accident, yeah. But when I think of the gameplay of Alpha Omega, the Jolting Jacks piss me off. The Nova Bombers piss me off.
Yeah, I'm okay with the enemies. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was just saying I felt bad for cutting off Shreeb earlier.
Oh, Shreeb, go ahead.
Yeah, Shreeb.
I mean, I like the kind of the expanded Nuketown thing. Like, that is a very big theme for Black Ops 4, the remake maps. Like, I think it's a lot nicer aesthetically than Nuketown BO2. Like, the way that they expanded with the underground tunnels, kind of interconnecting everything, how you can go down on one side of the map and come out on the other. Like, I think it really does well to make it feel like you can move around as opposed to just running from one house to the other. So I think layout wise, I don't really have any complaints. The ray guns are really, even though the quests are a little bit questionable, throwing that damn Wraith fire grenade into the chimney is always a pain in the ass.
That thing is
I
the
hate
worst
that
fucking
so
thing
good
ever.
It's so annoying.
But just kind of like, not necessarily them being elemental, because usually when there's multiple of a wonder weapon, it ends up being elemental. But having like 4 different kind of ray gun Mark IIs, I think was a really, really cool thing to have, with the dual wield and the buckshot one and like the laser one. Like, it's just all kind of different styles, and I think that's like
they're all different firing styles, which is super cool.
a very unique thing, which I think a lot of people look over just because they hate Alpha Omega. And I think kind of the clashing between the two crews of Primus and Ultimus had huge potential that I think was absolutely squandered by not letting multiple players be kind of like one Primus and one Ultimus.
I know, it's so stupid. Like, I wish we had that.
That to me, like, would have amped up like the crew and the interactions on a level that like would be like unmatched. Like, if they had that, like the interactions between the characters and like the 2 Richtophens and Dempseys and all that stuff, like that could have been some of the best dialogue like in the entire game. Like, listening to Ultimus, Richthofen and Primus Richthofen talk to each other, in game, I think would have been amazing. So I think Alpha Omega really does lose some major points for that. But I think that also probably was just a product of kind of the way that the game works, where it assigns different characters and time constraints and budget cuts and all that stuff. And that also...
Can I make one counter to that? Argument? Just one counter argument? Nobody would have taken Ultimus Takio.
Maybe.
Probably not. That's it.
But like, just... That's really where like the budget cuts and stuff really started showing in Black Ops 4, and like losing the full motion cutscenes at a point where we really needed them. Like the ending cutscene for Alpha Omega.
Oh
The ending
my
cutscene for
God.
Alpha Omega had such huge potential with Samantha, blowing up the place and all of the Ultimus and Primus characters standing together and Samantha and Eddie like talking to them and stuff. Like having it relegated to the drawing board cutscenes like just killed it so bad, and it really sucks to see. And like
it's such a mess.
It is like
and like the
so
animations look terrible. There's so and it's like Samantha's part of like the further Nuketown explosion too. It's like the characters are standing there doing nothing. Everyone's standing outside a nuclear bunker after a nuke went off, and no one's getting radiation poisoning.
He literally.
And it's just never brought up again.
Like they just completely ignore the fact that you detonated a nuke on the Avogadro, and it just like.
I do like the idea that like they for some reason thought detonating a nuke while the Avogadro was inside a nuclear facility like
with them.
I don't know what the thought process was. They're like, oh great, the whole base is destroyed. Now what?
And Rushmore too is a very cool character. I love his like cheesy dialogue like at the end where he's like, "We win because that's what Americans do.
We won.
He's their problem now." Yeah, that's just classic. Like there's some stuff
of like
Omega that I do
like
love.
60 Cold War America, like the very like lampooned version of it is very funny.
Yeah.
But I think after all said and done, this is basically its final resting place for Alpha Omega.
Yeah, it really can't hold up to Revelations. It just can't, unfortunately.
I'm actually one of those guys that likes Alpha Omega too, because I will say its Easter egg quest like itself. If it didn't require you to stand at a dial pad for 7 hours, and it didn't have the Red Nova step.
Oh my god, the Red Nova.
Red Nova is super annoying. Yeah.
What a pain in the ass.
If it didn't have those two things, I would honestly say its Easter egg quest itself is actually one of the more unique ones, or one of the more better ones of BO4. But those two steps and all the other things that you mentioned, I don't mind the jolting jacks that much, but the Nova bombers are the worst enemy type probably since the Thrasher. Like that's how much I hate the Nova bombers. But that's my 2 cents of Alpha Omega. Like I said, I've always said I'd like it, but I'm not going to ever defend it. So
it's very hard to defend it.
Whenever I think about which map I want to play more,
it really
despite their
is.
qualities, Revelations any day of the week over Alpha Omega.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, and then our final round 1 matchup, guys. We're only.
We're about to cut down the time by half.
By half, and then half again. So
for sure. For sure. But the final matchup, we got Kino der Toten versus Outbreak from Cold.
This is the best zombies map of all time.
Kino der Toten Black Ops.
This is I know we talked about this earlier with Ascension and Shadow Throne. This might be like the farthest, like these two maps have almost nothing in common.
Nothing in common.
One's an entirely different game mode, so I mean if I had to pick between that, I think just Kino is just the better of the two just in terms of like what it gets right. Whereas Cold War is so experimental, Outbreak's so experimental with what it wants to do that it's hard to say which is better. But also, if I think which one's more fun, it's still Kino. Outbreak just has so much nothing going on in between objectives, which is fixed in MWZ. There's so many stuff that they improve upon in MWZ, but Outbreak itself.
I'm so glad you said that. Yeah. I have huge problems with Outbreak, and as much as a lot of the more hardcore community hates MWZ, I think it fixed like 90%
so many
of
of
my problems.
Yeah,
with
I know.
Outbreak. Yeah,
like it fixed so many. I know the hour timer is probably the biggest thing MWZ has going against it, but
yeah, that one's rough.
It's so rough.
That and the Tarkov loot style. I'm really not a fan of the Tarkov loot.
Yeah, I understand. I like it a bit. I just think it's so messy, especially like with the schematic system when you get to the end game of MWZ, because then the game just becomes that every time that you load in, you have to wait days, because if you do, you get slowly less and less like equipped as you go into recurring matches. So it's like, who is the game for? Because for hardcore players, it's not for them.
Yeah.
Because like, it's not fun to do that because then you spawn in with less and less stuff.
It's almost meant to be played in increments. Like you're almost meant to wait until you have all the stuff and then you do your
but like am I supposed to play for an hour a day and that's it? That's so stupid.
Yeah, like because
an hour is not
it's
long.
really weird. Like especially it kind of misses out on like the Tarkov style too, because like I don't know if any of you guys have played Escape from Tarkov, but like you've got like your player character with all the loot and stuff, and you like die and lose your character, but then you can go in with like kind of like a pre-looted character that you're meant to play like in between while you're waiting for your character to come back. And it seems like MWZ really like misses out on that, because it's like you're waiting for all your schematics to return,
because the problem is
and then
how
like
do you
when you
balance
die or
everything?
get disconnected, like you just start with nothing. Like you've got to like wait for your contraband slots to regen.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, like,
and then you got to bring in like your crappy weapons that you like just.
I never use those contraband weapons. It was just if I lost all 3 of my insured slots, I wasn't playing anymore for the day.
No, there's no incentive to.
Yeah,
you're just going in at a disadvantage.
Everything feels like it exists to basically justify itself. The timer exists because it wants players to play more, so that they can't just do everything in one game. The schematics exist so that you have a replayability to go for, so that re-justifies the timer. The cooldowns exist so that you can't just sweep the game, so that you're constantly waiting to come back to it. Everything exists to feed into itself, and it's done well, the main gameplay loop, but it's also done so poorly. Anyways, this is not about MWC.
This is not about MWC. You're right. You are right.
Can we just add a 5th secret door so that we're not interconnecting 2 attorneys, so that it's on this side for MWC? Anyways, Kino wins. Outbreak, fun. 2 Easter eggs on it is cool. One of them's way better than the other. Legion's fun.
Let's say we'll add a whole new bracket there.
Best zombies
zombies map of all time.
Kino Toten Black Ops 1.
Kino Toten Black Ops 1.
Exactly.
Kino Toten Black Ops 1.
Why, Cliff, any other extra thoughts?
Nope.
I cut you out
I
the last part.
agree with everything. I've wanted to talk about MWZ, so I'm glad we got that chance. I'm good here.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, and that is the end of round 1, boys.
Better days.